Hello, Gothamites. Welcome to Comics with Friends, the bi-weekly podcast where two best buds get together and talk about the comics that they love to read, sometimes hate to read, and maybe sometimes will be funny as well. But who knows, maybe not today. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I am your host, Ethan, joined by my best bud and co-host, Mason. What's up, buddy? I can't believe you.
That's me cracking into a nice cold monster because I'm ready and happy to be here.
I am happy to be here as well because we're covering a Batman story. It's been a hot minute since we've done just a solo Batman story. I think since Halloween.
Yeah, it was Halloween. In terms of the videos coming out, it's not going to seem like a super long time.
Yeah.
Because, we record beforehand and everything like that,
yeah.
but also we are bi-weekly. So
Yeah,
only
yeah.
2 videos come out a month. But for us, it's been since Halloween that we did we recorded it. So,
but the last one we did was the Long Halloween, which is kind of crazy because we are covering Batman Dark Victory, which is the sequel to Long Halloween and is also considered by fans to be the 3rd year of Batman's career, Batman Year 3. Mm-hmm. This takes so much inspiration from Batman Year 1 and Long Halloween. And I also think this is going to be one of the last origin stories that we really cover.
yeah.
Because this does have the origin of everyone's favorite sidekick, what some would say one of the best characters in comic book history, Robin, specifically Dick Grayson Robin.
Yeah, the boy wonder.
Yep, this is the birth of the dynamic duo.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I really enjoyed this story.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. There is something that I wanted to actually bring up before we really dive into it. So this might seem out of place, but we don't really have a super structure to this podcast. We just kind of wing it.
Yeah.
We have an Instagram now. So along with, we're going to go ahead and do the plug and everything in the front end here. Subscribe, like videos, please give us a chance to talk your ear off. But we also have an Instagram now. Mm-hmm. We will be, hopefully by the time of this recording coming out, have a TikTok as well. And we are going to be posting clips on there. And also with the Instagram, we'll be posting whenever an episode comes out. So if you want to make sure that you are watching it as it comes out, you can do that by following the Instagram. And so I specifically really just wanted to let whoever's listening know that is happening. Yeah. And hopefully we'll be catching your ear and talking it off.
And while you're at it, maybe you can share that stuff in your friendship circles.
Yeah.
You can get more best buds onto the onto the show and listen in on our wacky little adventures through the happy medium of comics.
The lovely medium of comics, the dark and twisted medium of comics.
It does feel like we've covered some pretty depressing stories.
So that was my attempt at a segue back into the story of covering this. And also a bit of a pun with it being Dark Victory because I'm multi-talented. But I would agree. We've at least the prior recording to this one, I believe that will be out, obviously. Constantine, Hellblazer, that was very dark. And while definitely not as dark as that, this does deal with some not like offensive topics, but it's just like...
It's a little bit more serious of a story.
Yeah, it's more serious, definitely. It's not Dr. Fate. It's not, Planet Hulk or World War Hulk. It's definitely it's Batman. It's Gotham. It's dark. It's depressing. But
I don't really have a whole lot of history for this story because we've covered everything that came before this for the most part. The only thing we really haven't covered that we could put into this kind of like timeline for Batman's early career is the Man Who Laughs storyline, which is just a story of Batman's first encounter with the Joker.
Yeah.
And one day we'll cover that story, but I don't think it's very much warranted right now because everyone knows the Joker.
Yeah, that's one thing. Whenever you first brought it up, I was like, everyone knows who the Joker is.
Yeah.
Like, I guess unless you want to have that first experience of when he shows up, sure. Like,
Plus, they've changed his origin point so much within the past couple years,
and that's like been like the whole point with him too. Is like you don't really know what his origin is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think without further ado, we get right into this, and we actually start the story off with a prologue chapter.
Yes.
An issue 0, where we get a very quick recap of Batman: The Long Halloween. For anybody who has not seen the episode, pause the video right now, stop listening, and go straight to Long Halloween so you can listen to that. That is one of our funnest videos.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
I really enjoyed it, even though our opinions on the story aren't maybe the same as the majority of people's. It's still a good story. We always recommend it. But in that, there was a year-long investigation because of a serial killer known as the Holiday Killer. And the whole point of it is Batman trying to figure out who this person is. At the same time, his friend and confidant, Harvey Dent, is falling further down a rabbit hole that he might not be able to get himself out of. And it all culminates in the creation of an iconic Batman villain. Obviously, Batman is super popular, so you all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Two-Face.
Yep.
And that is essentially what these first opening pages are, is a quick recap of the story of Batman: The Long Halloween. And it is actually all being told from the perspective of Alberto Falcone, who is Holiday, yes. And he is talking to the new DA, District Attorney of Gotham, Porter. I believe her name is
what's her? I can't remember her first name.
She goes by Porter.
Yeah, she goes by Porter. That's her last name, District Attorney Porter. But yeah, she's introduced in the prologue chapter, and they really set up kind of the initial.
Her name's Janice.
Yep,
Janice Porter.
They introduce her and the setup for the first, I guess you could say, conflict. Kind of like
it is a conflict because she's kind of the character that is giving Jim. She's in Jim's ear the whole time.
Well, she also is kind of like the first spark to that snowballs into everything else that happens, because she sets up in this prologue that she wants to free Alberto because
his rights were violated. Because, of course, we are still early in the DC timeline, and superheroes aren't commonplace at this point. You probably have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and that's about it. And, you don't normally have some dude in a gimp suit beating the fuck out of the mentally ill. It's just not a normal thing.
Yeah, and in this prologue, they also state that Alberto's been moved to Arkham, and
he was originally supposed to be executed. They say that he was supposed to go to the electric chair, but his attorney was able to get it knocked to an insanity plea.
Yep, which obviously no one was too happy about that, especially Jim and Batman, because they had felt that their loss of their friend Harvey was all for nothing, considering he basically is getting like a slap on the wrist, essentially.
Right.
And
that is a running theme in this story, Batman's idea of the mission.
Yeah.
And the fact that he let people in.
And now he feels alone.
Yeah, he feels like it's his fault.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to our Batman Long Halloween episode or you read it, Batman suspected Harvey of being the Holiday Killer. And he was partially right, kind of. man. But
I mean,
there's a lot of twists and turns
Yeah.
with the Long Halloween story, and again, that's why I recommend you either listen to our episode or read it yourself. Don't watch the movie because the movie's not great. You know, a great adaptation.
it's I've seen the animated movie for Long Halloween. It's fun,
Yeah.
but it's not
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah. But there's just a lot of twists and turns with that. So
Yeah.
if you want the full context, you'll have to go do that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll probably have some spoilers in this episode if you have not read or at least watched that episode of ours. Right off the bat, though, when we get to issue 1 now, I want to say, I want to go ahead and bring up our typical art conversation that we have in these episodes. So bear with me.
Yeah.
I really like the art.
Mm-hmm.
There were times though that I was like, I feel somewhat pulled out of the seriousness of this story because of how some of the characters were portrayed.
Okay. Are you talking about visually?
Visually.
Okay.
Not story-wise, because I think dialogue and the narrative and stuff, everyone was portrayed really well. I think even better than Long Halloween was.
I can say without a shadow of doubt, I think this story is better than Long Halloween.
Oh, for sure. Yes. And I understand that the artistic, the visuals for this, there was a artistic vision that I totally understand and I see. Just like I can't think of any examples off the top of my head right now, but as we go through it, I'm sure I'll be able to point it out. Mm-hmm. But there was just certain times where I'm like, the way this character is drawn right now is just like, I can't, it's pulling me out. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there's one time that Porter's talking to Two-Face, and the way she's drawn, she's like looking at him in the face, but yet also like she's turned away. So it almost looks like her fucking top of her body is twisted.
It's an anatomy issue.
Yeah, like twisted a whole 180. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, this just, my gut reaction off just taking this all in is just like, now I'm like just thrown off.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I can understand that.
But these covers for these issues,
oh, they're great.
I fucking love every single one of them.
They're better than the Long Halloween covers.
Easily.
I think this, because I didn't really experience what you were mentioning. Now, granted, now that you've said it, when we get to it, I might notice it and might be like, oh shit, now I see it. I think Tim Sale was on his A game with this story. Yeah. I think there are some of the most iconic panels from this era of Batman alone. Like, it's so good. I love everything about it. Art wise, again, the panels, like you said, beautiful panels. They're simple, but they're so haunting. And I think the best one, in my opinion, is the Joker one. It's so nice because he does this really good thing where he uses single colors for the covers, except for the final issue.
Yeah.
And it's all black backgrounds. It's beautiful.
I just got to say the way he uses the shadows and
the negative
space in this, like, because I brought it up in Long Halloween and I loved it in Long Halloween, but it's just like, it is pure like it is on all cylinders going, like it is amazing. I love it. There are some panels that I'm like, that is just beautiful. My anatomy problem, I guess we could kind of summarize it as being, is that it's not super often that it happens. Like, it's just like when it happens, it's like, I'm like, oh, like it's jarring enough that it brings me out. But it doesn't happen super often. So like it's a complaint, but it's not a super like hard, like, I don't know. I'm losing words on me. Like, it's not major. It's just
it's not deal breaking for
not
you.
Even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I can understand that. But no, we get this really nice for chapter 1. I guess we'll go ahead and mention the covers when we get to them if we have time. I know for this first one, I really like it because it feels like a movie.
Yeah.
Where you get the big title, right away, the title entry of Dark Victory Chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this black background with Batman, like, encased in all red.
Yeah, like the red highlights are like a spotlight or something that's showing. So.
And it invokes year one to
Yeah.
me, like, very much so. Like, he's like, the world is against him type deal. And something that I noticed while reading it, because, well, yes, I do own the physical omnibus for Dark Victory. I did read it on the DC Infinite app, just like you. Something I notice, if you read it panel to panel, because they have a setting where you can have stuff zoomed in.
Yeah, that's what I use.
If you look at the cover and then you press the screen and go to the next page, it shows a small child Bruce Wayne in a very similar pose. Almost like it's planned that way, like a movie, like it's fading to the background. And you get to see the past for a moment. And I really like that. It's visual storytelling. They do it again in a future chapter. It's in a very small panel. I didn't expect them to do it, where Bruce is dressed as Batman and he's talking to someone, and then he shifts to Bruce Wayne talking to Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
and it's like, wow, it's storytelling. It's visual storytelling to me. At its
really
finest.
Well done.
Yeah, it's really at its finest. So without further ado, in this first chapter, we do start out with a flashback, which is told in a really nice black and white format.
It
Definitely
looks like an oil painting.
It does, and I can tell that this is Tim Sale kind of evolving his craft, because this very much. Oops, sorry, bumped the mic right there. This is very reminiscent of Long Halloween's murder sequences.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, all of those were told in black and white, except for the blood and then the item that the killer would leave behind representing the holiday.
Yeah.
Those were very flat looking. Not saying they were bad. They were still probably one of the best parts of the art.
But there's a lot of depth and almost like a 3D kind of look.
Yes.
Where
you see the shadows in this flashback, and they do it a few times in the story, and it's very beautiful.
He's flexing.
He's flexing, yeah. Rest in peace, Tim Sale, one of the best comic book artists.
He's showing the fact that no one else can do it like him.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing.
He deserves to be in like the Hall of Fame for artists, especially for Batman artists.
Yeah.
But this whole backdrop is set for the funeral of the Waynes, Martha and Thomas Wayne. And it is a narration told by now adult Bruce, saying that on the day that his parents were buried, so many people in Gotham came to see him. And one of the ones that stood out the most to him was Carmine Falcone. Mm-hmm. And Carmine told him that if he ever needed anything, to let him know, because obviously, as we know now, Bruce's father saved Carmine's life. Yep. He was shot in the chest 5 times and, saved him. We then go straight to the present, and it is August 2nd, the birthday of Carmine Falcone, and we are in basically the Carmine Mausoleum, where Sophia Falcone, I think her name's like Falcone Gigante.
Yeah.
She is now the head of the Falcone family, and she has called in every crime family in Gotham to basically celebrate her father's birthday and to kind of put everything to rest. And Batman is in the distance watching.
Yeah. And when we say everybody,
it's everybody.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
There's like a whole ass like line of people. And also, guess who's there? Selina.
Yeah, Selina Kyle is there.
Yeah, and Batman mentions, like, this is not the first time that I have seen Selina involved in Falcone business.
Yeah. And he's kind of starting to, like, question her or doubt her in some ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know
the truth
about it. I did mention this in the Long Halloween episode, because there's a story that takes place kind of during this story, actually, called When in Rome. And obviously, through modern Batman media as well, they've kind of spoiled this for us, but we know that Catwoman is Falcone's daughter.
Question. When in Rome, she goes to Italy in that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they allude to that story.
Yes. Yeah. They do at least bring it up.
Okay.
So, But yeah, no, it's all these different family members kind of giving their condolences, basically saying like, if you need anything, you know, you let us know.
And they also do this to introduce each head of the family, so you know.
So we get introduced to Umberto and Pino Moroni, who are the sons of Sal Moroni, the previous head of the Moroni family. We get Edward Skeevers. We get Anthony Zuko, who is a very important figure in Batman mythology, and also for this story is very important. We get introduced to Lucia Viti, or Lucia Viti. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's Italian, so it could be pronounced any fucking way. I don't know. The now head of the Viti family, because both her mom and Johnny, her brother, were killed during Long Halloween. And then we get Bobby Gazzo, who is a former business partner of Carmine Falcone. Those are kind of like the big players that we get. And when I say big players, it's not like they're major plot point characters, but their role is important for
The story.
the overall story. Yes. And while Batman is watching this ceremony go on, he is encountered by a guard, and they begin to open fire on him.
I have to bring this up because I think it's funny. The way that guard is just like wielding his shotgun and like somehow balancing on top of that fucking roof.
Because of course in Gotham, everything is Gothic architecture, so everything has pointed roofs and shit.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, like you could have been like a supervillain with that balancing act.
Yeah, because here's the thing, like, because I've shot a shotgun before.
Oh yeah, the
moment you shoot a shotgun, like there is going to be pushback.
Yeah,
the fact that the fact that you're balancing on that roof and still shooting at him is wild.
And then Batman hits him with batarangs and like knocks him over.
Yeah.
I'm like, that dude just fell off that building, landed on his fucking skull, and died. Batman just killed someone.
Oh, Batman, 100%. Batman definitely kills people. But no, they begin opening fire, and we get this. I'm gonna gush about this art all story. We get this beautiful double page splash of Batman just in the air, diving down off of the rooftops, and he's just being Batman. And he begins just whooping ass like he does. And this is also when we get introduced to another character named Mario Falcone, who is the other son of Carmine. And I don't know if it was mentioned or if we very just briefly skimmed over it. Mario was actually deported back to Italy, and it was mentioned in the Long Halloween.
Yeah.
So we are now finally seeing Mario, who is now
back.
He's not really the head of the family, but he does have a role to play in this story, and it is very important.
Yeah, I believe he is just the head of Falcone like imports or something like that.
Yeah, that's what he's in charge of. He's in charge of the imports.
Yeah.
So while Batman is whooping ass and taking names, Catwoman jumps out of nowhere. You know, for the world's greatest detective, he really can't figure it out that Selina is Catwoman.
I like how she's depicted in this, but I still hate those goddamn fucking whiskers that
I agree.
she's got.
Just get rid of them.
Just
get rid of them, and I think the suit would be perfect.
Yeah. I do too. I just hate those fucking whiskers. I hate them whiskers. That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, Batman and Catwoman, they fuck up the mobsters, and they have their little, back and forth, will they, won't they? She's playing a game while it's all business for him. And after, shortly afterwards, Jim and the rest of the GCPD show up at the cemetery, and they were only able to get some of the small fries. And Jim is definitely like going through the ringer right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Poor Jim.
Yeah, poor Jim. Granted, he kind of brought it upon himself from year one, but that's
he does end up getting a W.
He does.
So,
because Jim is essentially like some of the country's biggest mobsters were all in one area. And we only caught henchmen.
Yeah.
We only caught the small fish, the little fish.
Yeah. We couldn't even catch the woman in a fucking wheelchair.
Yeah. Because Sophia, because obviously at the end of Long Halloween, you think she dies because she falls off the penthouse skyscraper.
Yeah.
Thing. And no, they revealed that she survived. She hit stuff on the way down, like John Wick.
And then fucking went into like a window or something.
Yeah.
Because a Catwoman
Yeah, and
got hurt.
She is now wheelchair bound, and she's in a neck brace.
Yeah.
And she can't move her neck anymore.
She can't really do anything.
Yeah. And Jim is like, I can't believe we couldn't fucking catch these people. And at the same time, Jim is going through, I wouldn't say a divorce.
They're separated.
They're separated. Yeah. Barbara and Jim Jr. are not living at the house anymore.
They're in Chicago.
They're in Chicago back because that's where Jim is originally from. And yeah, they are just not really on speaking terms. Jim obviously talks to his son and tells him goodnight every night, but Barbara will not talk to him.
And I think there's a little bit of a parallel between Jim and his kind of loneliness being, you know, he has a level of loneliness, but he is not, it's not because that's what he wants.
Yeah.
But then you also have Batman who brings up being alone, but it's him pushing people away.
He believes it's the right thing to do to push people away.
Yeah. So they're both kind of in like, because even Jim's trying to get Batman to work with him, and Batman's like, no, I must be the only one to do this war on my own. I can't, you know, no one else.
Yeah.
So like they're both kind of in that state of just being alone. No one to rely on, no one to truly like confide in or anything like that. But yet their outlooks on it are so vastly different.
Yeah. And again, that just shows the fact that Batman needs Jim and Jim needs Batman.
Yeah.
Like they need each other if this is all going to work.
And then it's also the start of Batman just realizing that he needs to work with other people.
Yeah. Because again, we still don't have the Justice League at this point. He hasn't even met Superman.
Yeah.
You know,
it's before Batgirl, before, you know, Robin, obviously.
He has the Batcave, but in this story, he even says, like, I haven't thought about giving it a name.
Yeah.
So, like, that's how basic Batman is right now. So, yeah, Jim is talking to his new sort of partner, sort of friend, Connor O'Hara. I believe that's his full name, but he just goes by Chief O'Hara. And O'Hara seems to be kind of like a straight and narrow cop, but he's been around for a while. He's been around longer than Jim.
Is it Connor or is it Clancy?
It might be Clancy. I just know his last name's O'Hara.
Yeah, I think it's Clancy.
That's really all we need to know about him.
Yeah.
Because of future stuff.
Yeah, true.
But O'Hara is giving him a pep talk and saying, like, you keep at this, Jim. Like, it's going, like, we will win. And he even tells Jim, like, hey, we might have only caught little fish, but those are people off the street now. Like, that's a win for us.
Yeah, he's like, I've been a fisherman for a long time. You catch anything, it's a good day.
Yeah. So we cut to the next day, and Bruce is at his mansion swimming. This dude is fucking jacked as shit. Like, he is jacked and tall.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
He is a shit brick house.
Yeah. He ends up seeing that Selena is there waiting for him. And she's like, hey, I have somebody that you should meet. And she introduces Bruce to Mario Falcone.
Yeah.
And Bruce is very much like I don't want anything to do with this guy.
he does give Mario a chance to speak.
He does.
To be fair. But Bruce isn't buying anything he's selling.
Yeah.
Because Mario is trying to be like, we are fully legitimate now. Like, we're not doing the mob stuff anymore. Like, I've made the effort to make us legitimate.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk to you about, like,
business
propositions. And Bruce is like, I don't give a fuck how legitimate you are.
I'm never doing
business with Falcones. Fuck you.
Yeah. And he tells Mario to fuck off, and then he tells Selena to fuck off too, because like, he's pissed at her for bringing him to his home. And right now, Bruce and Selena are dating, kind of. They're like off and on dating, and this is going to come into play as we go through, because there is a common theme between Long Halloween and Dark Victory that we will get into by the end of this chapter. We cut to later that night, and Jim is telling his son goodnight and that he loves him. And all the while, DA Porter is listening in on the conversation. And, you know, she essentially, shows up and tells him like, hey, we need to go to Arkham Asylum because we have to go talk to Alberto. And when they go, they kind of reveal that like Alberto is now a cripple as well.
Yeah,
because he can't use his hand.
Yeah,
because Batman absolutely fucking crushed it. And that's also like another thing that they have like on the case of like releasing him. And Porter introduces Jim to Mario, and essentially, you know, he gives the same spiel to Jim that he gave to Bruce of like, we're legitimate now, all that kind of shit. And Jim is like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm going home. It's late. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Yeah. And that is, they also get onto the conversation of like Harvey Dent. And they talk about, you know, how Harvey Dent used to be a good person, all that kind of stuff. And of course, they pass by his cell and we see, you know, we see Dent.
Yeah. And as Porter's like talking to Jim, she see essentially both her and Harvey Dent lock eyes, and she kind of has like that, like she's still talking, but you can tell like her mind's wandering somewhere else. Yeah. And then they walk away, and Two-Face's fucking staring them down. Yeah. Which I noted, I was like, imagine running into the person who took your job.
Oh yeah, you know? For real.
Like,
yeah, I completely agree. So we cut to the penthouse of the Falcones, and the Maroni sons are trying to show their allegiance to the Falcones, and they're like, hey, let us put a hit out on, you know, on Harvey Dent. We'll kill him. He killed your father, that kind of shit. And they also are trying to make sure that she is protected because of Batman interrupting that ceremony the other night. And they assure her that nothing is going to go wrong. Of course, there is a commotion going on, and the butler or their henchman or whatever, I don't know what he is. Yeah. Mirti or Marati.
Vitri.
It's something.
I don't know. It's something Italian.
Yeah, he brings in like a grappling hook thing. Yeah. And you're supposed to believe it's Batman, but it ends up being Catwoman later on. So we have that. We have a nice little conversation between O'Hara and Jim. And essentially it is O'Hara saying that before Jim and Batman came along, you know, the GCPD was nothing. Like it was full of crooks and criminals. But before that, being an officer meant something. Yeah. Like you were proud to be a part of the GCPD. And it just all went to shit when the Falcones came into power.
Yeah, they said, I believe he says once Thomas and Martha Wayne died was when things went to shit, essentially. Because, like, the beacon of Gotham essentially died.
The first family. Yeah. And before they go their separate ways, because O'Hara mentions, like, this is where, because I used to be, like, a beat cop. And he says, this bridge is where I used to, like, go and think. And then he hands a list of names to Jim, and he says, like, I trust these people. And Jim is kind of like, okay, I'll take this. And you don't really know why he's handing this to Jim. They kind of reveal it later on. Yeah. But they go their separate ways. Jim meets up with Batman. And Batman is essentially like, hey, so like Janice Porter's like an issue. Yeah. Like she does not like me, and you know, I think it might be best if we just don't work together. That kind of deal.
Yeah, and then also him doing like the I don't need your help. Yeah. Like pushing him away.
Yeah. And he does the exact same thing to Catwoman because she ends up showing up later on, and they have their little conversation, and Batman notices that she's hurt, and she's like, "Oh, what is that? Like, what happened to you?" And she's like, "Oh, I fell." Yeah. And it's like bullshit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And that's the reveal that she was the one that
broke into the penthouse. Yeah. Yeah. And she actually tells Batman, like, hey, the Falcones are planning on assassinating Harvey Dent. Like, I just figured he was your friend. You should know. Yeah. And then she leaves.
She straight up, she doesn't just leave. Because Batman's like, he's not my friend anymore. Like, I don't care what happens. He's not my friend. And she just straight up fucking gives him a big old fucking 2 slaps across the face. And then she goes for like a third, and he catches it. And she's like, isn't there anything inside you, like any feelings?
Like compassion, sympathy,
and
empathy.
He doesn't say anything to that. And she's like, I hope you'll show a little more interest when they come after me. Yeah. And it's like,
you can definitely tell that Batman is fucking up his personal relationships.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, not just him, fucking Bruce too, later as we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we cut to Arkham Asylum, and Batman is talking to Harvey and is like, look, you know, this is what's going on. Somebody's after you. Like, I know you're still in there. Like, Harvey, you're in there. Yeah. We can go back to normal, that kind of shit. Like, we can rebuild your life if you just get help. We can do all that stuff. And Harvey he's currently the one who is not, or no, it's Two-Face that is in control. Yeah. And there's this running theme where Two-Face says like, oh, Harvey is dead. Yeah. But we get small little inklings of like Harvey coming back out and being the dominant personality. And, you know, they're kind of having this back and forth, and that's when the break-in happens, and there are gunshots fired, and Batman is like, you have to stay here. If you stay here, I can make a case for you to get help. Yeah. And Harvey says like, I promise, I'll stay. And Batman leaves, and he tells the guards like, bolt the doors, don't let anyone through, blah, blah, blah. And Harvey is standing there, and he's talking to himself, obviously, and then he flips the coin, which is the classic Two-Face thing to decide whether he's going to do something or not.
Yeah. And because the coin is in the air, and it shows the side with the X on it. Yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we know
we know where this is.
Yeah, we know where this is going. And it is not just an assassination attempt. It is a full-scale breakout. Yep. All the cells bust open, explode open, and Batman immediately gets to work, and he fucking he crushes Mad Hatter.
Yeah, he does.
he whoops Mad Hatter's ass, and then I love it because Poison Ivy gets free, and she's like, oh, yes, free at last. And then she immediately gets tied up. Yeah, and then Batman gets into a sick-ass fight with Solomon Grundy. Yep. And
then goes to Joker's cell. He's gone.
Scarecrow is gone as well.
Yeah, Scarecrow is gone as well. And the thing is like the full scale, while yes, there is an assassination attempt on Harvey, this massive attack is actually a cover for something else, and which is revealed later in the story. But there is a reason why each of these villains is particularly shown within this segment of the comic.
Yeah. We also get the reveal that because Batman's like, this can't just be about Harvey if all these other criminals are being released. Yeah. And he's like, oh my God. Like, the Falcones put a hit out on Harvey. What else are they going to be here for? Alberto. Yeah. And he runs to the cell that Alberto's being kept in. The Calendar Man, who he was actually placed across from, that was totally a fucking troll, by the way. Yeah. You know they did that on purpose.
100%.
Calendar Man is gone. Yep. But Alberto, even though his cell is blasted open, stayed.
Yeah. And he's like an innocent man, has nothing to run from.
Right. Because he is continuing to say that he has not done anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. You know what his hand looks like? Alberto's hand. Remember Scary Movie?
My good hand.
Yeah, my good hand. Here, let me stir that up for you. Yeah. That's exactly what it reminds me of. Mm-hmm. That, like, every time I saw him and his hand, That's immediately where my fucking mind went.
Yeah.
Where he's like dipping his hand in the mashed potatoes. And everything. I'm just like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, I completely. Yeah, that's funny.
So from then on, like when I clocked that in my head, reading this story from then on, I was just like, part of me, even though I couldn't already take Alberto seriously, I'd like 100% times more now.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't fucking take this guy
no, I
seriously
completely
at all.
agree. So yeah, he sees that Alberto hasn't left, and then he runs back to Harvey's cell, and Harvey is gone. He escaped. At the penthouse, Batman straight up just shows up behind Sophia and is like, "Where the fuck is Harvey Dent?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't know where he's at." And Batman's like, "If anything happened to Harvey, I will make sure you lose everything left." Mm-hmm. And she starts freaking out. She's like, "I have nothing left." And that's when she reveals like her fucking hair is a wig, and like
they had like brain surgery or something on
yeah,
her.
she's like she is completely fucked up.
She looks a little bit like kind of like a Frankenstein's monster situation.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't even go to the fucking bathroom on my own anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what do I have left?
Yeah, and Batman just nopes the fuck out of there. He's like, okay,
he's
I'm
like,
not dealing with
He was
this.
like, okay, she kind of has a point. My bad. You know.
We fast forward to the trial for Alberto, and Judge Harkness, who is a longstanding Batman character, sets him free.
Under the
Supervision, it's like parole.
yeah, he's got an ankle bracelet on, and there's a specific building that they set up for him to go to.
It is the old Falcone mansion
Yep.
that is basically down the road from the Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
So, obviously people are pissed, and like they are not happy that a serial killer is just going free. This is very reminiscent of our nail biter episode.
Yep. These like I don't know where these serial killers are getting their lawyers from and stuff like
my
that,
God.
but the fact that they're able to just like get out of jail,
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
we got to stop these comic book serial killers, man.
For real. So Jim is he's kind of
He's
at the
just
courthouse.
watching.
Yeah, he's watching. He's at the courthouse, and he's not happy about this. And then a voice from the shadows, who we presume is Batman, says like,
I'll be watching him.
I'll be watching him. Let it go. He's not going anywhere.
He's got 4 eyes. I got 6. I'm watching him.
For real, yeah. And we find out later that night that the Falcone, specifically Carmine's gravesite, is defiled. It is broken into, and his body is gone.
Yep.
And Sophia ends up getting a package in the mail, and it is her father's ring finger. It's so fucked up.
It really is. Yeah.
We also find out that Porter's office was broken into, and all of Harvey Dent's files were stolen.
Yep.
They're just gone. And
Which, not to jump the gun a little bit too much, which knowing what I know, I feel like this was staged, like the break in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I don't think anyone actually broke in to
No.
steal anything. I
No,
think
no.
they just trashed it.
Yeah.
It was a cover, 100%.
Yeah. And Jim, he's making sure she's okay and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is also revealed at the end of this chapter that Chief O'Hara has been hanged, and he has a kind of like a newspaper printout.
Something from Harvey's file.
Something from Harvey's files is pinned to his uniform, and it is a hangman game. And in each of these, it's not complete, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at this, or it's mostly Batman and Jim. They're looking at this, and Jim is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
Like, I just talked to him not long ago.
Yeah. And I guess this is where we can kind of talk about the hangman game aspect of the story.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into too much detail because it does end up being a key piece of the story.
Yeah.
That gets solved later on, obviously. But each one is going to have a different message on it, obviously. It's very Zodiac Killer-esque.
Okay, so I have a thought on it that I wasn't necessarily such a huge fan of the Hangman aspect for this. While I do think the mystery behind it was definitely really good, I hate the whole like the piece of paper with the Hangman stuff and everything on it. And I understand this is like a sequel to Long Halloween, but I feel like this is just them trying to recapitalize on the Long Halloween stuff. I understand there's narrative reason behind it.
Yeah.
But as like a consumer, it's like, to me, it's like, oh, they had the success with the holiday killer leaving something at the crime scene and everything. They want to somehow recapitalize on that. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I'm on the fence. I'm fence setting on it being in the story.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. What I don't like about it, it's really the only thing I'm not a huge fan of, is that they tie it to holidays as well. Spoiler alert, because this does happen on a holiday. I believe this actually happens on Halloween.
Yes, it does. Because that's when the breakout is as well.
Correct. And I don't like that because it's kind of like what you said, where it's like the rehashing of the Long Halloween concept.
Yeah.
I don't mind that it happens once a month. It's just it happening specifically on holidays. To me, it also just doesn't make sense for the killer as well.
Yeah, me either.
Because there's too many moving pieces for the holiday thing for me to matter.
Yeah, and also just like I don't,
because it's almost like a red herring.
Yeah,
the fact that they all happen on holidays. To me, the other things that show up during these murders feel like they're more connected than the fact that they happen on holidays.
We can get more into it once the killer is revealed and stuff like that. Because like there is some narrative credence to why it's on holidays, why there's the hangman there and everything like that. Like there's narrative credence to it, but I'm like, couldn't we have done something maybe
just separate it just a little bit,
a little bit more?
Yeah,
you know, because like you said, with who the killer is, I'm like, that doesn't like necessarily. It's not as cohesive as I think.
Yeah.
It should.
It is a small thing. I will say that. It doesn't detract from how much I enjoyed the story. No,
there was definitely still mystery there.
Yeah. And sure. I feel like it was way better executed than Long Halloween.
Yes.
By 100%. A mile.
I do. Because if you remember in Long Halloween, I was like, there was just no real like breadcrumb trail to who the killer was. Yeah. They were just like at the end, here's your killer.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? What do you mean, Gilda? Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, and then they have the reveal of like, oh, there was 2 holiday killers.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and then also like in this, because Calendar Man shows up and he has a conversation with Two-Face, and he's like, you knew who the holiday killer was the whole time? Not once does he mention it's fucking Gilda.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I knew it was Alberto the entire time. Now, granted, that could have been because he was talking to fucking Two-Face and didn't want to be like, oh, yeah, it was your wife,
your
too.
Wife. Yeah.
Because in the Long Halloween, he was like, it's a man and a woman, or could be like, you know, and it's like, so you knew. I don't know. I'm just like, as much as I did like Long Halloween, I did have that problem with like just that. Here's your killer. Here's a twist for a twist's sake. Here's your killer that you never would have guessed it was Harvey's wife.
Yeah.
But it's like, that doesn't make sense. Really, I don't think, you know?
Yeah. So the first Hangman note, because obviously for those of you who don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know how the Hangman game works, is you have a set phrase that you have to figure out, and you guess a letter. And if it's right, the person who is, I guess, the hangman, has to put that letter in all of the blank spots that it goes in. And for each one you get wrong, they draw a piece of the body.
Yeah.
And once a full body is drawn, obviously you lose.
You can also put it this way. You ever seen Wheel of Fortune? Know what Wheel of Fortune
Oh,
is?
yeah. Wheel of Fortune, if you've ever seen that. It's essentially the same concept.
It's the same exact fucking thing. It's just to calculate if you've lost the game, you just draw a stick figure hanging from a fucking hangman's noose.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Yeah. So on this one, some of the letters are already filled out. That's how it is for every note that is left at a crime scene. But it says, none of you are safe.
Yeah.
That is what it says. They reveal that immediately at the beginning of the second issue. And we will continue to get these, and the mystery will change and shift as we get more of these.
Yeah.
Before we get into issue 2, we get kind of these really nice transition panels between each issue, where it is the black and white picture of Jim Gordon sitting at his desk, and behind him is a cork board with evidence and newspaper cutouts, and we get all the evidence throughout the story pinned up behind him. As we go, it gets more full, and it's just really nice.
Yeah.
I think it's really well done, really well executed.
Now, if you're reading this on the DC Infinite app,
Yeah.
it is before it is not, because in the omnibus it is right after the issue. In the DC Infinite app, it is right in the beginning of the next issue.
Okay.
So
we have issue 2, which is done with a Riddler cover. Very nicely done.
looks sick.
Looks awesome. And we get a monologue from Batman where he, essentially every issue, he starts talking about the Holiday Killer and how he terrorized Gotham for a year. And then he will associate that dialogue with whatever the main focus of that issue is. Of course, for this one is the Riddler.
Yeah.
And he immediately goes to, like, I know someone who could solve this. He immediately goes to Riddler and hangs him up upside down.
Yeah, does the classic Batman interrogation for sure.
Yeah, and he gives Riddler a copy of the Hangman letter, and he's like, you're going to solve this, and you're going to tell me what this means, or else. And Riddler's like, I'm in no position to argue with you. After that, we get a scene with Commissioner Gordon and the former commissioner, Loeb, who was, of course, from Batman Year One. This is kind of what I meant by this takes a lot of stuff from Year One and Long Halloween and kind of wraps it all up. It almost feels like a trilogy of movies in a sense.
Yeah, like it's definitely one of those things where like you definitely need to read Long Halloween before you read this. Because you will not know what's going on.
No. So he's talking to Jim. He says, like, I always liked the view from that chair. And, you know, I like that statement because Jim says, like, hey, man, I wish we could talk right now, but I'm kind of a busy man. And, like, I need to get this shit done. And he's like, or Loeb is like, you don't really understand how to run Gotham. Like, you think you do, but you don't. And Jim is like, look, man, I know you think I took your job, but I didn't. Like, I earned this position, and I deserve to be commissioner. And Loeb, as he's leaving, he's like, again, I always like the view from that chair. And it's essentially him saying, like, you're sitting on top of your high horse, like, you're not down there in the trenches.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand what it took for me to be who I am.
And Loeb is like, I've always hated that self-righteousness that you have.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, like, Jim, to me, like, even more so than Batman, is like the epitome of what someone who just has a strong sense of like justice would be. Because I mean, like, despite everything that happens to him, he believes in the law and, due process and things like that. Now, he bends the rules a little bit sometimes, but he still works within it. And he still believes the system can work. And I think that's a bit more admirable than Batman just going outside of the law and doing it that way, because he believes that due process doesn't always work. It needs a helping hand.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think Jim's probably one of my favorite Batman characters, to be honest with you, which is crazy considering that before I started reading these Batman stories, I was like, Jim's cool, you know, but he's not my favorite.
Yeah, he's
but
awesome.
now he's like one of my favorites.
It's like him and Alfred are like the coolest characters.
I love Alfred. Ever since I saw that fucking panel of him in Injustice,
headbutting Superman.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the GOAT right there. I love me some fucking Alfred, dude.
So Batman and Alfred are hanging out. Batman is trying to figure out where Dent is while also trying to figure out this murder case. And, you know, Batman specifically tells Alfred, like, I have to figure this case out and I can't be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I was wrong about Holiday. And I kind of like that, where Long Halloween definitely feels like the middle movie in a trilogy where, like, the heroes, they defeated the villain, but they didn't win. Like, it feels like they still lost more than what they won, and it never felt like a satisfactory victory.
Yeah, they were on. It was their lowest point, and now they need to rise. You could say this Dark Knight rises in this.
Okay, all right, that is woof. Jesus Christ. All right. So,
dude, I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's
all right.
That's why it's called Dark Victory.
Yeah.
Because he wins.
He wins. He rises up to the challenge. And he wins a dark victory.
Yeah, okay.
You know.
Yeah, all right.
All right. I'll see myself now. That's fine.
So
we'll end the podcast right here. Yeah. I'll leave.
Yeah. Bye. That's the end of the episode. So he tells Alfred, like, I can't be wrong. And Alfred tells him, you know, Master Wayne, you're human. There's nothing wrong about being wrong. Like, you're human. Everyone does it. And Bruce just says, like, Batman can't be wrong.
Yeah.
He has to always do the right thing and always be right. And he even tells Alfred, he was like, you know, I was going to tell Harvey who I was. I thought about it. And he was like, I was going to tell him everything about who I am, my parents. And he takes off his mask and he's like, had I just trusted him and believed that he wasn't the killer, like, maybe I could have saved him.
Yeah, like maybe him knowing my secret would have kept him from going over the edge.
Yeah. And it's a really nice somber moment where you really get to look at Bruce Wayne as a character.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Of course, Mario Falcone takes Jim and Porter to the mausoleum.
He reaches out to him and is like, hey,
there's some vandalism going on, some crazy shit. And of course, Sophia is not happy with that because it's the cops.
I will say one thing that really caught my attention that I put in my notes in this was when they are talking with each other, when Porter, Jim, and Mario are talking to each other, Porter calls Mario by his first name.
Yeah.
And Jim clocks that.
Yeah.
And when I just am bringing this up now, so when we get to a later part, I can talk about how I knew something before the reveal. Okay. Okay. Can I just bring that up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. I just want it to be noted.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I'm saying. That I kind of called what was going to happen. Okay. I'll bring it up later when we get to it.
So at the Falcone Mansion,
I'm just saying I'm smart. All right.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
So at the Falcone Mansion, Alberto's just hanging around smoking his cigarettes. This dude smokes so many cigarettes, dude. It's crazy. I wonder where he gets them all from. Well, we actually find out where he gets them from later, but
dude, he's looking like me.
Yeah.
Honestly. Just standing on my balcony just wondering what my life's come to.
So he's sitting there smoking, and he is having a Harry Osborn moment or a Norman Osborn moment where he is standing there and he hears a voice and he's like, I am so disappointed in you. That like Green Goblin is talking to him in the study, and he's like, "You're pathetic, pathetic."
No.
Yeah, and he legitimately is hearing these voices, and he's like, "Who are you?" And we later establish the voice.
Yeah,
we kind of establish it twice, so we'll come back to that plot point, but. It definitely seems like Alberto is going fucking crazy.
Yeah, and this is all happening on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and
this is all again. It's all it's a monthly issue thing.
Yeah, a funny interaction that leads into what happens after Alberto's kind of like conversation to nobody or whoever it is.
This ghost.
After Mario and Jim and Porter's conversation and Sophia barging in and being like, nah, I don't want the cops involved. Jim is like, do you want to have Thanksgiving dinner? Because I have no one to have Thanksgiving dinner and stuff. And Porter's like, nah, I have plans. And he's like, oh. And she's like, what? I can't have plans? He's like, well, you're new to town. I just didn't think you knew anyone. And she's like, yeah, well, I do. Shut the door. I'm getting fucking cold. And then we cut after Alberto's whole thing to her in her apartment, lying in bed, and a shadowy figure in the distance. And she gets up and she's like, you're hungry, aren't you? Like, calling this person back to her. Mm-hmm. And she starts making out with this shadowy figure. This is also another point that I would like to notate to the jury that I was like, I got a feeling about this. And I'm pretty sure I'm confident in what's going on here. And when we get to the reveal of who this is, I will bring these two moments up of like, I knew, I felt it in my gut. So let it be known.
So yeah, she's having her Thanksgiving dinner, and at the same time, Selena is having her Thanksgiving dinner at Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
And
this part cracks me the fuck up, dude. It's so fucked.
And of course, Bruce has this long ass like rich person table where it's really long and like it's supposed to have like a gajillion people sitting at it. Yeah,
to me it looks like something straight out of like Dracula's castle or some shit like that.
And she is essentially like, I'm having Thanksgiving dinner with a Playboy millionaire and I can't seem to get a word out of him essentially. And she eventually ends up like taking her chair and because Bruce is obviously thinking about Batman stuff.
Yeah.
She takes her chair and pulls it over right next to him, and she's like, "Hey, you remember me?" And she starts like
eating off his plate and everything. Yeah. I love the like scratches on the floor of her dragging the chair over there, and I'm just imagining the loud like squeaking as she's pulling it up there. I think it's. I love this dynamic. One of the reasons why I like Catwoman and Batman and Selena and Bruce is like because Bruce. He is a rich kid. Yeah. No matter what he does and what he's been through, he was a rich kid. Yeah. So
he has the benefit.
Yeah. There's certain aspects about life that he is not a part of. Yeah. Or no matter what struggle he's been through. Selena, she's from the streets. Yeah. Like she has had to fight for everything she ever had. Right. And I love that dichotomy of her because, like, that's what a classy couple would do. Yeah. Like a rich couple. They'd sit on both ends of the table, probably eat in silence, whatever, have like 5 courses, whatever. Mm-hmm. She just says, fuck that shit. And just drags that fucking chair over there. Like, I love that about them. I'm such a Bat and the Cat fan, and I know you hate that. But
I'm a Wonder Bat fan. Yeah. I know it'll never be canon, but I'm Wonder Bat.
I love Catwoman and Batman. I mean... Look, I'm in the same boat when it comes to Spider-Man and Black Cat. I like Spider-Man and Black Cat together. It's never going to happen. Like, really.
No, especially now. And then they're trying to fix stuff, but they'll never fix it. But that's a side tangent. We'll not talk about that. So, we continue on with the story. And Riddler puts up the Riddler signal. Yeah. And Batman meets him, and he's like, oh, I figured it out. And then he basically tells you how the game works. And Batman's like, So,
well, his big thing was like, you need to play it with 2 people. So who's the second person?
Yeah.
That's the big thing. But yeah, he explains the Hangman game to Batman.
And Batman's like, I'm going to break your fucking teeth.
Dude,
like,
I'm going to break every bone in your body. Like, let's hurry this up.
If you keep wasting my fucking time. And that's when he reveals, like, oh, it says, like, none of you are safe, that kind of deal. And he's like, you know, and that he reveals the, like, oh, you need 2 people to play, blah, blah, blah. And he does his stupid little riddle joke. And we cut to Commissioner Loeb's, or former Commissioner Loeb's house. And we get, you know, a narration from Batman talking about Loeb, how he was corrupt, all that kind of stuff. But he also had a huge hand in getting Harvey Dent his job as the DA.
Yep.
And that is when it was revealed that Loeb has been hanged and murdered.
Yep.
And we get a new one that says 2, obviously it's, you know,
not fully filled out.
But they immediately figure it out. It says 2 can play this game.
Yep. I am on, like, this. I bring this up to show how on the fence of the Hangman Killer aspect of this that I'm on, because just moments ago I'm like, I don't know if it was really necessary, and you know, it feels too much like it's following. The further we got into the story, the more compelled I was with it, in the sense of, like,
because you get a you get a theme, a mode, an MO, a modus operandi. You get, like, okay, these are the targets.
Yeah, but I think it is that way because all of the other mystery and plot points around it, involving Dent and involving the crime families and everything like that, like, gets swept up. The Hangman Killer gets swept up in that, in which it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, more compelling.
Yeah, because it's like, once you start down the mystery path with Harvey and stuff, and it's like, okay, so is Harvey the Hangman Killer? Or, like, you know,
is he working with someone?
Is he working with? Yeah, so it makes it more interesting in that regard.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just on the fence about it. Like, I don't know how to explain how I feel about it.
I think I can understand it. Again, it just falls into my, like, why do we have to tie it to, like, the holiday killer with the whole holidays and all that stuff?
Maybe if it was a different killer.
Maybe. Yeah. But I also don't feel like it would make sense if it was anyone else. Yeah. I don't know. We're kind of jumping the gun. I think it's better to just let it naturally come out.
Yeah.
But that is the end of issue 2. Issue 3, we get a really nice Scarecrow image, and I will still say that I think this is the best Scarecrow design we've ever gotten. I really like it, even though I think Jeff Loeb's version of Scarecrow is fucking stupid because he talks in, like, nursery rhymes. Mm-hmm. I've never seen Scarecrow talk like that before, but whatever. But
I'm like, I do like this design, but I don't know if it's my favorite. To be completely honest, I think my favorite Scarecrow design I have seen is definitely from the Arkham games.
Oh yeah, especially Arkham Knight. Yeah, like, I agree. That's up there.
His design in that end.
Yeah. But so we get immediately our third victim happens right at the beginning, and it is actually Detective Flass.
Yes.
Who, if you guys remember from our Batman Year 1 episode, our very first episode,
he was partnered up with Jim.
He is Jim's partner, but also when it came to bringing down Commissioner Loeb and the Falcones, he was the key witness to testify against everything. And he is now dead. Yep. And I can't really see the letter on this one. So I can't really tell you what his says. Give me just a second. Oh, there we go. It says, knows if you've been bad or good.
Yeah.
That is what it says. He was killed right outside, basically like a strip club called the Cheetah Room, which is run by, I believe,
the Maronis.
The Maronis.
Yep.
Is it the no? It's the Zuko. It's Anthony Zuko.
Is it? I thought it was the Maronis because they burn it down and then
they own it, but Zuko is the one in
runs
charge of it, and he gets all the money from it.
Right.
And we know that because Batman immediately goes to him and is interrogating him and is like, "This happened outside your fucking clubhouse,
And you know nothing
and
about
you know
it."
not. Yeah, he was a former cop. He was on the payroll of the Falcons, all that kind of shit, and Zuko is just a pathetic human being. Like, he is just some pathetic dude. And fucking Batman beats the shit out of him. He's like, if you don't tell me like who's involved with all of this, I'm gonna break your skull.
Yeah, and he goes to like do the shotgun under the desk thing, and Batman just pulls out shotgun shells, and it's like, I think you need these.
Yeah. Zuko immediately like implicates Scarecrow in all of this, and Batman shows up and he's fighting Scarecrow, and it's not really a major fight.
Yeah.
I think the reason why he fights Scarecrow is because it's all like noose based, like the hangings.
It's because of the type of, I think, rope or cord or something.
He's because Scarecrow escaped using rope,
yeah.
and it's the same type of rope that is like, it's the same like brand or whatever, and it's the same one that Scarecrow uses on his costume. And so he gets into this high-speed chase with Scarecrow, who's trying to leave this toy factory.
Yeah, because he's been putting fear toxin in a bunch of Christmas toys.
Yeah,
and
because it is Christmas.
It was planning on sending them out.
Yeah, and to like orphanages.
Yeah,
or some bullshit like
I
that.
don't know, something fucking evil.
Yeah. And so Batman gets the noose off of Scarecrow, and Scarecrow drives his fucking van off the pier, and we don't know if he's dead or not, but whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking Sophia has a meeting with Zuko, and that is when we get the, we're going to burn down the cheetah room because, it's just too much.
Now it's hot.
Yeah. And we also get this kind of fucked up moment where, the Maroney brothers are trying to make sure that they are on good terms with Sophia, and they want to show their loyalty. And that's when Pino makes this joke of like, hey, I was thinking of this like crazy thing where, they're joking around. He's like, your brother Alberto, we thought he was dead, but he ended up alive. What if your dad's actually alive?
Yeah. And she fucking shoots him.
She shoots him right in the shoulder. And he's like, this crazy fucking bitch just shot me.
And she's like, that's my gift to you for Christmas. Now your gift is going to be find me fucking Harvey dead.
Yeah. Obviously we cut to another scene with Selena at Wayne Manor, and she is like, this is ridiculous.
She's waiting on Bruce.
It's Christmas. Yeah.
She's got a gift for him. And she even asks Alfred, she's like, am I wasting my time? Like being with Bruce? And he's like, no, like I promise you're not wasting your time.
Like, he's a good man.
He's a good man. He just has a lot in his life. That is complicated.
Yeah.
And
what he should be saying is, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to hear that from a Wonder Bat fan.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, if you're going to date someone that's in your line of work.
I don't believe that. Haven't you ever heard the
If you're a fucking superhero.
I'm just saying, haven't you ever heard the statement, don't shit where you eat? I'm just saying. What happens if him and Wonder Woman break up?
Well, guess what? That happens all the fucking time.
I think it's stupid.
Batman and fucking Catwoman break up all the time. And
yeah, but they're already opposed to each other, technically. She's a thief and he's a hero.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm also just saying, Black Canary and Green Arrow are there. They seem happy. They are.
Are we sure Green Arrow's a good role model to have in this conversation?
I don't know. He is a deadbeat dad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's a story for another time. So yeah, Batman goes to the Falcone mansion and is basically like, "Hey Alberto, what's up? I'm looking for a fucking murderer. I'm following his patterns, and all the murders are happening on holidays." And he chases him out to the edge of the property before the ankle monitor starts, fucking doing shit. and he's like, I'm gonna need some fucking information from you.
Yeah.
And we cut to Jim buying Christmas presents for his son and all that kind of shit.
And he's there with Porter.
Yeah, and Porter's trying to get a gift for her man.
Yeah.
Who we have not met yet. And they get a call to go to the Falcone family, and Mario is there, and he's looking after his brother, and he says like, "Oh, my brother's hearing voices."
Yeah, thinks our dad is talking.
Yeah,
to
he thinks
him.
our dad is talking to him, and we just get this panel of like Alberto just curled up in the bed and freaking out. And that's essentially the end of issue 3. Issue 4 begins, and we get this really cool illustration of Grundy.
Mm-hmm.
I will say all these chapters also have like titles to them. So it's like issue 4 is Lost. Issue 3 was called Toys. Each one gets their own little title. And Batman is going down to the sewer. He says that he's been leaving traps for Grundy for a while. Food that is set with like elephant tranquilizer, so that way he's like weaker when he encounters them. And essentially the whole reason why he's doing this is because in Long Halloween, when Harvey had his accident, he left to the sewer and stayed with Grundy. Grundy let him stay in the sewer, which is odd because he's never done that before.
Yeah.
While Batman is doing this, Grundy ends up showing him to Harvey's like makeshift office.
That still says district attorney.
Yeah, but it's all, if you notice, it's
inverted.
It's all backwards. Yeah, which I thought was a really cool touch. While this is happening, Jim and Porter have found the body of Brandon, who is also a character from Batman Year One. He was the SWAT. Basically, he was like the chief or sergeant, like SWAT team leader.
Was into like all the armory and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
he believed that the GCPD should be a fucking army.
Yeah,
and
forced to be reckoned.
Yeah, and he is actually the one that greenlit the bombing of that basically condemned apartment block.
When they were hunting Batman.
Yeah.
And
they find his body, and it says. The note says, "and justice for all."
Yep.
They find his body in the kind of like the freezer, the walk-in freezer of the Maroney's restaurant, and
they immediately take them in.
Yeah. Jim is like, "Fucking, you guys have something to do with this." Brandon was on the payroll of Carmine Falcone. The Maroneys hated the Falcones, and he immediately puts them both under arrest. And Porter's like, you can't just arrest them for no reason. And Jim's like, arrest them for possession of an illegal firearm,
conspiracy to commit murder.
All this stuff. He lists off so many fucking.
And she's like,
things.
the evidence, and he's like, just let me handle that.
Yeah. Of course, Batman. He's looking around this makeshift office, and he finds a picture of Gilda, and he basically says like, with the amount of like water damage and shit that's in here, like he's been gone for a while. And that's when he notices that the office is booby trapped, and he is able to save Grundy, but like
he's unconscious.
Barely, yeah.
And they start like getting swept up in the water and stuff like that. And he manages to save Grundy and pull him out. And then we cut to our favorite Catwoman. And she's actually sneaking in to see Sophia, and she confronts her, and it's basically like, here's the deal. I'm going to find your father's body, and when I do, you're going to pay me $1 million, because that's how much the bounty was out on me from your dad. So, and then Sophia's like, why the fuck would I do that? You could have been the one to steal his body in the first place. And she's like, doesn't matter. Either way, you get your dad back.
Yeah.
Like,
you get your dad, I get my money.
And Sophia's like, doesn't just outright say like, yeah, sure. She like, threatens her and everything. But Catwoman is like, that's not a no to my offer. So
I will say it's not mentioned in this moment, but it is revealed at a later moment. Catwoman does take notice of something about Sophia that she talks to Batman about later on.
Yeah.
after this conversation, Batman tries to chase down Harvey Dent, or someone that he believes is Harvey Dent, but loses him. And we cut to
Well, we aren't sure if it's Harvey at the time.
he says like he thinks it's Harvey.
Yeah.
And we cut to early morning on New Year's Day, because of course this takes place on New Year's, and Gilda is leaving the courthouse.
Gilda,
or not Porter. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking of the picture of Gilda because I was looking at a picture on the book. And Porter is leaving the courthouse, and the shadowed figure catches her, and she even says like, "Oh, you're all wet."
Yeah.
And he embraces her,
And she's like, "Now I'm all wet."
Yeah, and it's like, okay, all right, Jeff.
Okay.
all right, Jeff. Come on. We go to Selena's brownstone, and fucking Bruce has a gift for her, and he's like, "I got you something." And she's like,
"I made up my mind last night. Like, we're done.
I'm breaking up with you."
Yeah. And then she's like, "I'll at least have breakfast with you this morning." Like, come on, man.
Yeah. And Jim, of course, is having a conversation with Barbara finally, saying like, "Hey, look, I'm just asking you to think about it.
Like, I miss you both and everything like that.
Like, I miss us."
And Porter is like there. She's like almost coming in, and she's like, "You know what? Like, I'm just gonna leave, or should I? I have to talk to him. I think I'm gonna just leave." And as she's about to leave, Jim's like, "You can come in. Like, I know you're out there."
Yeah. And we finally get this conversation, this kind of like heart to heart, where Jim is like, "I trusted Harvey once.
Yeah.
And it hurt that he betrayed me, but I can't let that like continue to affect me," that kind of deal. And she's like, or Jim's like, "I have this list of people that O'Hara gave to me from the academy that he trained himself.
Yeah.
I need you to find these people." And Porter's like, "What is this? Is this you like
trying to break the law?"
Yeah. And Jim is like, "No, I'm not trying to break the law. Like, we do this. Like, me and Batman aren't really working together right now."
Yeah.
And he's like, "We do this by the books, all that kind of deal. And I need people I can trust." And they shake hands, and Jim is essentially like, "Welcome to the investigation."
And obviously, like, something's up with this.
100%.
Like, something's up.
We know that something is up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I like her character in this actually a lot. Like, I don't like her because she's not a great person, but at the same time, like, she's a really well done character. Mm-hmm. Like, I like her, and I kind of like was like, I don't know, like, she's dislikable, but I like her as a character. I think she's like a really interesting character in this story.
Yeah, she's well written.
Yeah.
So that is the end of chapter 4. We now get to chapter 5, which is illustrated with a very nice looking Catwoman cover. Of course, she has those stupid ass whiskers, but
it is what it is, dude.
They're still all beautiful looking.
Yeah.
They're very good. And it is Umberto and Pino. They're in their cell, basically saying like, if Pop had still been around, he would have been out of here the same day, but we've been here for a week.
Yeah. They're like, our Pops did like more time than this and didn't complain.
Yeah.
Like, we can do this, man up, basically.
Yeah. They are eventually, their bond has been, paid, and they are freed by, I believe, Vitti.
Yeah.
Lucia Vitti.
Yep.
And,
then we immediately cut to Batman.
Oh, yeah. Batman is chasing... It's February 14th, which is Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. Which is not such an important holiday in this story, but it was in Long Halloween.
Yes, because we do get the reveal in Long Halloween that Valentine's Day is Alberto's birthday, which is kind of one of the lead... like reasonings for him becoming a serial killer, because like Falcone even forgot that it was his son's birthday. That kind of deal. Either way, yeah, Batman gets fucking shot in the chest and somehow doesn't immediately pass out from the pain. But he is chasing Sergeant Frank Pratt, who is one of the old guard of the GCPD before Gordon cleaned house. And he's very much like a paranoid, like marksman, that type of deal. And he's chasing him, and he falls unconscious, but immediately, right before, Pratt can like shoot and kill him, he gets caught up by a noose and is hanged.
Yep.
And this one is actually a picture of
Gilda.
I guess that's something that we've been lacking to mention, is what each of these messages are written on, but they're all files from Harvey Dent.
On Harvey Dent, or from Harvey Dent, whether it be about like the Holiday Killer and stuff like that. Like, really, I think it's like files that are really like where they thought Harvey Dent was the killer, essentially, I think.
Yeah. And
I will say, though, I am impressed that just this normal like ex-cop managed to get a shot on Batman, of all people.
Yeah. So this note says guilty as sin. And we cut to Catwoman. She is trying to figure out where Falcone's body is, and she's like, there's only one person that could possibly know this. I don't know why she thinks this, but she ends up finding Riddler.
Yeah.
And
she's beaten this whole fucking bar, like whooped all these people's asses. She looks great in this comic.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, genuinely, I think she looks great in this. I hate the whiskers, but like,
I love the color of the costume.
color of the outfit.
It's simple.
And I don't know. I think she's, I did like how she was drawn in Long Halloween, but I like the art and how she's drawn in this a lot more than I do in Long Halloween.
Again, it feels like Tim Sale was on his A game. Like, he wanted this to be kind of like a magnum opus type story. And it's just, to me, it's almost like a crime that this story isn't as big as Long Halloween.
Yeah. Well, the problem is you need Long Halloween for this story.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I don't know. She looks great in this because she actually looks like someone who is capable of her feats.
Yeah.
Like, she's not just a slender, thin woman.
Yeah. She's got muscle.
She's got muscle. She's built. Like, for someone who leaps from building to building and fights people and stuff, like we're talking about Batman earlier.
Looking like a shit brick house.
Yeah. Like, it would make sense that fucking Selena, Catwoman, is also a fucking unit.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. She looks great. Everyone looks great in this. Like, if they're a comic book character, like Batman, Joker, all of them. So yeah, she gets a riddle from Riddler, and she goes to the morgue because he's like, where do you keep a body in plain sight? That kind of deal. There is an issue with Riddler as a character. Not that he's bad. I think Riddler is one of the best Batman villains. No one knows how to write him because, like, in order to write him, you have to be smart and you also have to be good at telling riddles.
Yeah. I think a pitfall that they have is that they, for some reason, like, I understand riddles are his whole thing, but I don't think he needs to talk in riddles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just have him talk
like a guy,
like an intelligent person.
Yeah.
Like, I think the best writing for him, honestly, again, bringing him up, is the Arkham games.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's written really well. Like, he just comes off as like a super highly intelligent, egotistical asshole that uses riddles for his crime rather than I speak in riddles every fucking day.
Not like how they fucking wrote fucking Scarecrow in this story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's not how the character should talk. Like, it's just his gimmick.
Exactly.
It's just a gimmick. It's like Batman doesn't fucking talk with echolocation. He's just dressed as a fucking bat.
Like, clicking his tongue like a bat, like for echolocation. He's just like, yeah, this is my motif.
Like, I was scared of bats as a kid.
Yeah,
like, that's my thing.
Catwoman is like, I like cats.
Yeah,
I'm a cat burglar.
Yeah,
you know.
It's
but
like,
I'm not over here meowing like an anime.
Oh
girl.
well, actually, she does in this story, but like, it's only in this. Like, she doesn't do that anymore.
I mean, like, still, it could be worse. She could be like, I don't know, but Anyway, I'm just saying, like, no one takes it as literal as when they are writing Riddler. Apparently.
Yeah. But she ends up going to the morgue and she gets ambushed.
Yeah.
So he's not even there.
Yeah, she gets hit and knocked unconscious.
Yep. She ends up in a like a coffin.
Yeah.
That's about to get put into an incinerator, and Batman finds her and frees her. And while she's thanking him, she's like, "What if we just took the mask off?"
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day. She's like, "Yeah, let's just take the masks off, show each other who we really are," and like,
She's like, "What if we just like got rid of all of our secrets?"
Yeah.
And we were just honest with each other. And Batman, he's staring at her, and then he's just like, "What's your connection to the Falcone family?"
You know what the thing is? Here's the thing, right? I think he might have taken up on her offer if the whole Two-Face thing didn't happen.
100%.
Because he's already pushing away Jim,
Yeah,
who is like probably the next person he would ever reveal it to.
He should be the one person he reveals it to,
and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, like we said, like he was gonna wanted to reveal it to Harvey Dent, and so now it's like, I think he 100% would have if not for all that happening, and then my cat in the bat would have happened. Anyway,
okay. So Jim, he gets home from a long day's work. He is.
The back door's like open.
Yeah, the back, and he's instantly like, "All right." He turns the corner, gun pointed, and it's fucking Barbara.
Yeah.
He's like, "Jesus Christ, I almost fucking shot you, you crazy bitch."
I almost fucking popped you in the dome. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But Barbara,
she comes back home.
She's like, "I've been thinking about what you've been saying, and you're right. Like, we should try. We should try to rebuild what we had and be a family again." And she's like, "I love you."
Yeah.
And she,
and
she kisses him.
That's that W I was talking about earlier.
That W will turn into an L, because that is the biggest mistake she's ever made, because she fucking gets murdered by the Joker.
I know, but
not only does she get murdered by the Joker, Jim ends up marrying that bitch from fucking year one afterwards.
The other detective?
Yeah, the one he had an affair with.
No, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
I think she ends up fucking dying too. I think Joker fucking kills her as well.
Jimbo, my guy. I'm so sorry, dude. Well, you got to take them as they come. Take the W's as they come. Take the L's as they come.
So the day after Valentine's.
Speaking of L's.
Yeah. Speaking of L's. Bruce shows up to Selena's brownstone, and there are movers there. It's actually a moving truck that is owned by the Maronis.
Yeah.
Or it's owned by the Zucos, but the Maronis oversee everything, of course. And he's like, that's kind of fucking weird. So he goes up to the movers and is like, what's going on here? And they're like, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like...
And he's got heart candy in his hand and everything like that, too. But yeah, I mean, she's like, she gives him a letter and everything too. Like the guy's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's your breakup letter.
Yeah. That's essentially, and he tells her like, I didn't want you to find me. I don't want you to chase me.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. And of course, Bruce is.
Yeah. She's literally like, I do not want to be found. Like, I know with your resources, you could find me. Let me cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I do not want to be found by you.
Yeah. So we go back to the Hotel Essex, which is the place that Porter was staying in earlier in a previous chapter with her shadowed individual. And she talks about all the people that, are on the list and all that kind of stuff. And, he's like, or she's like, I'll make sure that they don't interfere with anything. And that is when it is revealed that the person that she has been having a relationship with is Harvey Dent.
Okay. All right. I've been waiting for this moment, and I'm going to savor this moment of I am right. I have been right. So when we go back to issue
2, I think.
2?
Issue 2, issue 3.
Yes. It is, it's issue 1, I think. Yes, because when we first meet Mario and she's like, calling him. Is it issue?
A previous issue.
Issue 2. It's issue 2. It's issue 2. Both of these moments are in issue 2. When they meet and she calls him Mario, and Jim clocks it, and he's like, "That's weird. You're calling him by the first name and everything like that." I was like, "Huh, okay, that is odd." There's a chance that they are sleeping with each other, you know, whatever, or something's going on or whatever. And then we cut to when you have the shadow figure on Thanksgiving and, like, you know, she's sleeping with someone mystery and stuff. I'm like, huh, she's obviously in bed with someone she shouldn't be. That's the whole point of this. I feel like they are trying to set up that it's Mario, but I feel in Batman, like, mythos or ethos in his writing, that's a misdirect.
Yeah.
I think they are trying to misdirect who she's sleeping with and who she is, you know, metaphorically in bed with. I think it's Harvey Dent. I'm going to put my money on this is Harvey Dent and not, because even later, I think there's some dialogue where it's supposed to make you question that it's Mario some more. And then they revealed that it was Harvey. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I knew it. I fucking called it. I may be one of the most unluckiest persons I have ever met, because if you've seen my dice rolls and anything, you would know, but I should be a gambling man, because I fucking knew. I was like, I knew it. I just felt it in my gut. I was like, this is a misdirect. It would be such classic Batman. Like, from my experience with Long Halloween and stuff, I'm like, it's got to be a misdirect. They are trying to make you think that it is Mario, and it is not Mario.
Yeah.
But I was like, I fucking called it.
Yeah.
I fucking knew it.
So, Chapter 6 is a pretty easy chapter to cover very quickly. We get this really nice cover of Penguin, and it looks cool and crazy and
in line with all the others.
Yeah, in line with all the others. And we also get something kind of interesting at the beginning of this chapter. We start to get the classic, like, super villain gang crime fight, like criminal activity, where the Penguin has his goons, the Penguins, who are all dressed up in, like, tuxedos and top hats and monocles.
Yeah.
That you get in, like, classic Batman literature.
Yeah.
And we start to see that where they are fighting the Maronis.
Yeah. So I would definitely say that a big plot narrative choice within this, especially with the crime families and then everything going on with Harvey and his rogue, and then the rogue gallery, is that this is definitely, because we talked about it in Long Halloween a bit, this is the, like, final page in the normal mafia crime, like, kind of running Gotham, and it transitioning into these super powered,
or super villains,
like them running everything,
because
it's something that Sophia is, like, constantly like, I can't work with them freaks, screw them freaks, and all this other stuff that. So it's like a big kind of awesome motivation on her part for how she operates and stuff as well.
So Batman is breaking this up because he is actually after Penguin, and Penguin is at this shootout or this gang fight, and he ends up, you know, pinning him down, and basically is like, where is Dent? And the reason why is because Penguin worked with Dent in Long Halloween.
Anytime he asks someone a question, just, where is she?
So, of course,
every time
Penguin doesn't fucking know anything, or is leading on that he doesn't know anything. And this is also when we get introduced to Jim's, like, elite squad of, like, officers who aren't major characters. They are small, you know.
You have Lopez, King, O'Connor, Wilcox, and
Gustavson.
Yeah.
So we get introduced to them, and Batman, he says, like, Batman's not a part of this.
Yeah. Like,
it's
if you
us.
see Batman interfering, take appropriate measure. And they're all like about to be like, all right, bet, cool, and then immediately Penguin in a net just
drops in front of them.
right
Yeah,
in front of them, in the middle of all of them.
We also find out that Mario has gone to his lawyers and
this shit cracked me up.
Has essentially said, like, kicked Sophia out of the penthouse and has said, "You ain't welcome here no more, bitch. Get the fuck out.
You ain't a Falcone anymore.
Yeah, you're a Gigante.
You're fucking back to your maiden name or whatever." And literally just like with a padlock and everything is like, you're out of here. Mm-hmm. You're evicted. Bye.
Yeah. And we also get the very quick reintroduction of Merkel, who, I don't know if you remember, was, after Flass, was Jim's partner.
Yeah.
And, they're catching up a little bit. Barbara meets Porter. They're having this nice little moment. Mm-hmm. And, Merkel's like, "Oh, I wish I could stay, but the wife's going to kill me. Like, it's St. Patrick's Day and I still have to, get home and spend the holiday with her." And then Jim's thinking like, "Oh yeah, he's loyal from the day that we met. He's always been there for me and for Harvey." And then he's like, oh shit. And he runs out and he tries to find Merkel and he's gone.
He's gone.
He's nowhere to be found. We then get this kind of interesting interaction between Joker and Two-Face.
Yeah, it's essentially a pissing contest.
Yeah, because it's the idea of like, who's the better Batman villain?
Yeah, it's like they're like, basically Joker's got to do his like test of like, should I listen to you or should I just do my own fucking thing?
Should I just kill you right here?
And it's also kind of revealed that Two-Face has gathered all these different villains and have concocted some kind of plan with them. Yeah. And this is also kind of where you realize, oh, the stuff that happened at Arkham and all these villains escaping was planned by Harvey. This is part of some kind of plan that he has.
Mm-hmm. And Joker says like, he's essentially like, I don't like to not be a part of the joke. Yeah. Like I need to know what you're planning. And Dent is like, everyone has a part to play. And he actually kind of beats the shit out of Joker.
Yeah, and he's like, it's Two-Face this is in control. Because he keeps calling him Harv.
Yeah. And, he says, like, I'm not some attorney that you can beat up in front of his wife. Kind of hearkening back to Long Halloween.
Yeah.
And that kind of shit. We go to the Dent house at the end of this issue. And Batman narrates about how, like, a new family's moved in there. They're happy, all that kind of stuff. And then there was this tree that the family even kept in the front yard that was beautiful. And that is where we see the hanging body of Merkel with a note on here that has the deed to the house that says a jury of your peers.
Yep.
And Batman is there at the body. And then that is when the other detectives show up.
Special investigations unit, essentially. And
essentially they show up implicating Batman in the crime.
Yeah. And that's when we get this the classic Batman versus the cops who it's like, I mean, Jim even says it to him like how Batman operates.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, "Well, you said to if he interferes, use appropriate force." And you're like, or Jim's like,
I didn't tell you to shoot up a fucking neighborhood.
Yeah, you're shooting all over the place, like in the middle of this peaceful neighborhood. Like, what part of that is appropriate action?
Yeah, no, that is fucking hilarious.
Dude, I bet that family living in that house.
Oh, they're moving.
They're like, dude,
Well, they're fucking idiots for moving to Gotham in the first place.
That is true. That is valid. If you move to Gotham, I mean, you probably don't have a lot of options. So they might not move because they probably don't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah. So at the hotel that Porter is staying at, she's like, "Oh, are you leaving?" And Harvey is kind of like, "Yeah, it's late and I'm due in court." And she's like, "What? Yeah. What are you talking about?" And we go to the sewer and we get this like I think this is kind of fucking comedic, where it's set up to look exactly like a courtroom in the sewer. And the jury is all of like the main Batman's rogues.
Yeah.
And I will say something that's really cool. We actually get to see Tim Sale's version of Mr. Freeze. And I really like the way that he looks in this. Obviously, he looks just like the cartoon. I think this is one of the first depictions of Mr. Freeze in this design, because the Mr. Freeze that we know of, like how we envision him, did not start looking like that until Batman the Animated Series from the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah, he used to look fucking stupid. Like, he was a normal looking dude, bald, of course, and he wore a neon green and pink outfit, and he had a freeze gun, and he was just like your 2-time crook bank robber, kind of like Captain Cold from The Flash.
Huh.
Yeah, he did not get, you know how he has like the tragic story of
with
like
Nora,
and she has this disease, and like
Yeah.
he tried to fix it, but like
That
ended
wasn't
up-
until the animated.
that was all created for the animated series.
That's wild. That just goes to show how influential
Yeah, all the designs that we associate and love for these characters
is from that.
is from that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
and the voices too. Like
Yeah.
like Mark Hamill being the voice of the Joker. That
Yeah.
obviously that all started with
The
the,
animated,
and same with Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
So that's why we have these iconic voices, because of that TV show.
I
Same with Superman the Animated Series, which came out a little bit afterwards.
can't say much about that because I never really watched it.
All the
No, the
all the
Justice
designs.
League stuff with like Unlimited
Again.
and everything.
Yeah. That's what we think of when we think of those characters. Is those cartoons were so influential.
Well, it's because the people who enjoyed that show, they are now grown and like active within
Right. The community
comics
and
everything like that, which
But-
is always cool.
But yeah, no, that is one of the things I've always loved about those animated shows, is how much of an impact they had on the designs and the way we see those characters. And it just tells you how much those people that worked on those shows loved
it.
the source material. And that's like a whole conversation we can get into on like a different type of episode of something. But it's so awesome, and it's definitely a topic I would love to talk about.
I would love to talk about it too. But I really like this scene also because there is some kind of like darkish humor in this, as Two-Face is interrogating Calendar Man. I love the fact that he brings up the tattoo on Calendar Man's head because it wasn't there in Long Halloween.
Nope.
And he's literally like, is that new? Calendar Man's like, yeah. Just addressing the difference between the characters because of the different artists and stuff, I think is really fucking funny.
Yeah.
But Two-Face is interrogating him because he's like, you knew who Holiday was and you didn't say anything. And Calendar Man's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, do you know who it is now? He's like, no. And just like, it's just such a weird interaction.
Yeah.
And like, there's a little bit of humor coming from Dent as well.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's just a really interesting scene. And it does also showcase kind of Dent's insanity now, because he is insane.
Yeah.
Like, let's not sugarcoat it.
Oh no,
He has gone off the deep end. So I think this scene really helps encapsulate him being portrayed as a crazy person, because that's what he is. And most of Batman's rogues gallery is also just crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, your hero's a crazy man dressed in a bat suit.
Yeah.
So
you got to be a little bit crazy to dress up like that. But yeah, no, they're having this mock trial, and at the same time, we are seeing Alberto Falcone at his house talking to what he thinks is the spirit of his father. He's like, "Oh, I have a gift for you, son," and he opens it, and it's the
gun.
pistol.
Yeah, it's his weapon of choice when he was Holiday.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Sophia, she shows up and she's wanting to talk to him, and she sees the box, and she's like, "Where the fuck did you get that? The last time I saw that was in our father's penthouse, which Mario kicked her out of." And so now she's like, "Are you and Mario in on this? Like, are you kicking me out?" So now we're starting to get the like descent of the Falcone siblings.
They are now like, it's all just crumbling.
Yeah.
Their whole family, the whole legacy is just all crumbling down.
And while this is going on, we get a little montage narration from Bruce, who is talking about basically everything that's been going on.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm missing something.
Yeah, he's missing a piece. And you can also tell from his conversation with Alfred that he's starting to get tired. Mm-hmm. Like it's too much for him to handle by himself because he's getting pieces of evidence wrong. Yeah. Where like at one point Alfred's like, "Oh, well, what did the first note say?" And he's like, "No one is safe." And Alfred's like, "It says none of you are safe."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that's what I said." And he's like, "Okay, well, tell me who all has died in order." And he gives a list, but he puts 2 names in the wrong order and he leaves Flass out.
Yeah.
And so like he's missing pieces and it pisses Bruce off. And he ends up punching the fucking computer and breaking it. And Alfred's like, well, okay, that's a few $1 million that we have to fix now.
Yeah. And Batman's like, I can't be wrong. And Alfred's like, yes, the sum of your worst fears, made only worse, in my opinion, since Christmas Eve when you began avoiding Miss Kyle's company. Selena, he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, what did I do on Christmas Eve? Oh, I fought Scarecrow. Oh, he shot me with some fear toxin.
Yeah.
So like and I did find it weird, right? That like when he fought Scarecrow and he got shot with a fear toxin,
nothing came of it.
There was no immediate effect. And at first I was kind of like, okay, maybe he just, dealt with it off panel. Mm-hmm. Like, he's fought Scarecrow enough. I'm sure he's got like an antidote or something like that. No, it turns out that this fear toxin that Scarecrow hit him with is like a different kind of variant.
Yeah.
And
it lasts longer, stays in his bloodstream.
It's more subtle rather than like just like, oh, I'm seeing crazy shit. Like he's not getting dosed by acid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, like, yeah, like even I as the reader didn't think of that. Like that his actions are getting worse after that event. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really well done.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So Jim is at the office talking to his wife, and he's like, "Oh, I'm like, it's almost midnight. I'd like to come home before midnight hits, so that way I can at least celebrate the holiday with you, all that kind of stuff." Granted, it's April Fools. I don't know why they would be celebrating April Fool's Day.
Well, I think he's just like, I think it's more like he's just happy to like be home with Barbara.
I guess.
And like
it is a little goofy.
It's their like first holiday since she's been back, really, I think. Like fully.
Well, no, that's St. Patrick's.
Yeah, St. Patrick's.
I don't know. It's just a weird holiday.
He's just happy to have his wife back.
I guess.
You're telling me if Nicole wasn't on like a long ass vacation?
Well, yeah, but like our first big holiday wouldn't be April Fool's Day.
What if that's the nearest holiday?
Dude, come on.
I'm grasping at straws.
I know
here,
you
man.
are.
I really am.
It's just to facilitate.
I'm trying to defend my man. All right.
All of this is just to facilitate the fact that they're comparing it to Long Halloween, where it was the one holiday that no one died.
Yeah, that's true.
So Jim sees the bat signal turn on. He goes to the bat signal, and then a noose wraps around his neck, and he starts to get hanged.
Yeah, and he's like on the bat signal.
Yeah. And that is when Two-Face cuts the rope.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
Batman immediately starts throwing hands.
Oh, yeah. At the same time, fucking Batman is like, I'm taking you down.
Yeah. He's like, well, he's also like, I didn't want it to be you, Harvey.
Yeah.
Because he immediately thinks that he's the one hanging these cops and stuff.
Yeah. And Jim is the one that stops him and says, like, no, stop. I called Harvey here.
Yeah.
I was the one that told him to show up here so that way we can talk. And Two-Face is like, Harvey's not coming back.
Yeah. He's not coming back. I just came here to tell you that I'm not involved with these killings. I'm not the hangman.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, Harvey's, like you said, Harvey's never coming back, and get used to it.
Mm-hmm. So Batman makes sure that, Jim is okay. Jim's like, yeah, I'll be fine. nothing's broken, that kind of shit. And they're sitting there, and then Batman notices that there's a file on the ground, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And he's thinking like, did Dent leave this for us? And he opens it up, and it's like, these are police reports going back like a long time ago, like before we were even in, like, working together. You weren't in Gotham. I was out training.
It was one of Harvey's first.
Yeah. It was when he was assistant DA.
Yep. And it was when they had arrested Mario Falcone.
Yep.
So this is like...
This is the thing that they had alluded to back in Long Halloween, where Carmine brought up the fact that his son had been deported. Yeah. Or that he had his son deported.
This is also, a red herring in this story, because it's supposed to implicate Mario in his possible connection to the Hangman Killer, and the fact that these people that have been killed were involved with Harvey and stuff like that. So this is a red herring. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's kind of obvious that it's a red herring.
Yeah, I agree. We go to Ace Chemicals, which, if any of you are Batman lore aficionados, you would know that Ace Chemicals is the place where the Joker was made.
Yep.
So just a fun little fact. But it is run by Anthony Zucco.
I'm sorry. I don't know why, but that just gave me the whole, like, Lord of the Rings. Like, did you know he actually kicked that helmet and broke his toe?
Yeah. So Skeevers, or Eddie, is talking to Zucco and is like, hey man, we lost the Cheetah Room, their club, their strip club, and we need money. And Zucco's like, because Zucco deals with, like, transporting illegal goods across state lines for the Falcones and all that stuff. And Zucco's like, well, I know of a new way to get product out so we can make more money and then some. And that is when he reveals Haley's Circus, which is the place that Dick Grayson, and his parents are from, that he performed with, and all that kind of stuff.
It says Flying Graysons on the bottom. And when I first saw that, because I didn't realize what this story entails, I was like, oh. Yeah. At first, I thought it was just a nod, like maybe setting up Dick coming into the story in a later, like, run or story or whatever. But obviously, these next couple issues bring up the fact that, kind of spoiler, that we do get... Well, I mean, we already brought it up earlier.
We get the origin.
Yeah, we get and see Dick Grayson and him becoming Robin and training underneath Batman. Yeah. Which I was super surprised. I had no idea going into this that despite the fact that there is art of Robin and Batman right in the beginning first issue, it still didn't click with me that I'm like, oh, I'm getting Robin in this story, which I guess is on me for not paying attention. But I was like,
well, it's one of those things where you just don't think about it. Yeah. Where you're like, oh, Batman and Robin. Okay.
Yeah. Like, at first, I guess I just thought it was like just art for art's sakes that they put in there or whatever, Yeah. But yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. This is cool. This is, I'm ready. Yeah. My body's prepared.
So, chapter 8, which is illustrated with the Joker, looks so cool. I love the way that they make the Joker look in this. He looks demonic.
I really do like the fact that they made him look very similar to how he looked in Long Halloween. Yeah. Like,
well, I mean, it's the same artist.
I understand that, but like with some of the characters, like Alberto, for example, looks nothing like he did in Long Halloween.
I will say some of the character designs did change. Like, I'll say Poison Ivy changed.
Poison Ivy changed. Penguin changed. Scarecrow still the same for the most part. But like a lot of characters do not look the same.
Yeah, they look more refined in this.
More refined, a little bit more, not cartoonish, but like like Alberto does not necessarily look like a real person. You know,
they're
what
characters.
I mean? Yeah, more character oriented than like a sense of realism. But I am glad that like he is almost, they changed nothing. Of his.
He's
design.
consistent. Yeah. So chapter 8 opens up immediately with Joker doing Joker things. He is shooting up the Maroni's restaurant.
He's like dressed in like a 1940s like mobster.
He's got a Tommy gun, and he's talking about like, oh, you dirty rat, you killed my brother, my sister, my daughter, she's my sister and my daughter. Like it's just crazy.
Doing crazy shit.
Yeah. And Batman shows up later on and he's like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And he sees like, oh, Joker must have taken the sewer.
Yeah.
Like, and he has this like narration where he needs to kind of lie to Jim and say that like, oh, Joker's the priority. But Batman really knows like he's not the priority. Harvey is.
Yep. because I'd say Batman believes Jim doesn't think that Harvey is like not that much of a threat at the moment.
Yeah.
As of right now, Harvey's not involved in anything.
Yeah. Or if he is, he's not like a culprit.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then Mario actually asks Bruce Wayne to have a meeting with him at Wayne Enterprise, and he's trying to essentially say like, look, this is a gesture of good faith. You know, I have been doing legitimate business for almost a year at this point. Like,
I'm not my father.
Yeah, I just need you to work with me a little bit. And they begin their conversation, and that's when Joker's like henchmen
and
him are they're like dressed up as like window cleaners on the scaffolding, and they just unload into Wayne's office, like boardroom type deal.
Yeah.
And kill a few of the executives and almost kill Wayne and Mario. And
Mario and Bruce are the only ones that survive.
Yeah. And fucking Wayne is like, this is crazy. And if I find out that you had anything to do with this, like, I will bring down the law on you type deal. Jim and Porter are heading out for the day, and you know, Porter's like, hey, where's your bodyguards?
He's like, oh, the fact that I even need a bodyguard kind of pisses me off.
Because they're still saying that, like, the killings are happening to anyone that is associated with Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
And, of course, Jim was basically his best friend. And is like, you know, she's like, you need bodyguards. And he's like, well, I had Gustafsson go grab the car. Like, he's with me, that kind of deal. Yeah. And then they go into the parking garage, and that's where they see Gustafsson's dead. Yeah, he's dead. And it says, I believe, murder
in the first degree.
Yeah, murder in the first degree. And at the same time, Joker has gone to the Falcone mansion, killed
Mr. Mitri, whatever.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Sophia's little butler dude. And he is fucking throwing her around, threw her down the stairs. And he's like, you know, because there's a gun at the bottom of the stairs. And Joker's like, you know what? I'll give you to the count of 3. I'll give you the first shot.
If you can reach that gun before I get to 3, I'll let you have the first shot. And she's like... she's struggling.
Yeah.
She's trying. And she's calling out for a guy. Hold on.
Yeah, his name...
Murti or something. It's Mirti. Mirti. I don't
Mirti.
know. Mirti.
Yeah. Some Italian name, dude.
I don't fucking know.
The Italians, they got dumb names. Like,
whoa. I don't know about that.
That's funny coming from a guy whose like gamer tag is Catalina.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So she can't do anything about getting that gun, and he gets the 3, and then all of a sudden we just get a panel that just says blam.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. And I don't know why. I don't see Joker as the kind of person to
cuss.
Yeah, to cuss or swear.
I think that's weird too,
And
that just seems like it's out of his like realm.
Yeah.
Of, like, he doesn't need to cuss to come off as.
I mean, I understand like saying hell or damn or something like that.
Yeah, those aren't really cuss words.
Yeah, that's not really cussing to me. But like,
he calls her a bitch.
yeah, he literally goes, "You shot me, you bitch." I was like, what?
Yeah, that seems weird. Like, it's like, oh, Joker's PG. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm like, huh?
It's like the most like insane evil person in the DC universe. I can't see cussing.
Yeah,
I can't even see Batman cussing. That's the thing. Is like
me either. Yeah. I don't know. It just, and also, like, I like how Joker looks, but the face that they give him.
Yeah, he's goofy.
With him saying that, just like kind of made me laugh. I was just like, oh my God, that's so fucking funny to me. I don't know why, but.
So yeah, they reveal that Alberto is the one that shot him.
Yeah, he's got the gun that his dad gave him.
Yeah, and then Batman, of course, he fucking smashes through the window.
And starts beating the shit out of Alberto, being like, I told you I was watching. And Joker's just standing there like bullet wound in arm, probably watching that, going like, all right, he doesn't see me yet. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave before he sees me.
Batman is professional fucking boy sniffer. Like, he's gonna sniff you out, and he's gonna get the fuck out there and beat the shit out of you. He immediately finds Joker.
Well, the thing is he probably would have been completely content just beating the shit out of Alberto, but fucking Sophia's like, Joker's getting away, by the way, while you're beating up my fucking...
Your greatest villain.
Yeah, like, you're beating up my brother who can't even use his hand... Like,
he can barely wipe his own ass. Like, you need to get over there.
The crazy clown that just threw me down my stairs,
killed my butler.
I don't even have my life alert on me. Like, is running out the door, getting scot free, and Batman's just like, Joker, where? And then, like, fucking runs out there, grabs him, fucking starts beating the shit out of Joker, too. I don't know. Batman's kind of, like, punch heavy in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's very, like, eager to punch someone.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also supposed to represent his, like, he feels alone. Yeah. And so, like, the only thing he can resort to is
just the rage.
Batman. Yeah. Being Batman. So, yeah, he beats the shit out of Joker, saves the day there. And at Haley's circus, Anthony Zuko is talking to Haley, who is, of course, the ringleader of the circus. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about, like, hey, I've got merchandise that needs to get moved.
You've got the trucks,
all that kind of stuff. And he's like, man, those flying Graysons, it'd be a real shame if anything happened to them. Mm-hmm. And we get this really cool full-page panel of, you know, the billboard with the flying Graysons.
And you see
Dick at the top kind of overhearing everything.
A little foreshadowing of the boy's future.
And Batman gets home. It is Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Batman's really sad because he's like, I didn't even find time to go visit her, that kind of deal. Yeah. And he sees these 2 tickets on his desk in his study, and he's like, oh, what the hell are these? And Alfred's like, these were meant for you and Miss Kyle. It's to the circus. And Bruce is like, well, make sure they go to somebody who will really enjoy it. And that's when Alfred's like, you should go.
Yeah.
Your mother
loved the circus.
Loved the circus, and you made a massive donation to the Martha Foundation. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you should do this.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the chapter.
This next issue I think is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah,
actually.
I agree.
But we immediately start with we have basically a full panel of just seeing the trapeze like bar that they swing from with snapped rope and a single hand holding on to it. Mm-hmm. And then we get the circus and Dick looking down at his parents who are on the ground because he's on like the top of the I don't know which
the like landing
the platforms or whatever that they do. I'm not a circus guy. I don't really know. Clowns scare me.
You know what trapeze artists do. So
yeah. And for whatever reason they don't have a fucking net, you know.
It's a circus. They don't follow the same.
I'm just saying we wouldn't have Robin if, you know, they actually had like OSHA or something there.
Yeah.
You know, if they had a fucking net.
Yeah. I let me just go ahead and say this. As somebody who's been reading comics for 20 years at this point, I really like the way they do this, because if this was now or like in a movie or whatever, because I've always said, like, why do we need another Spider-Man origin movie? Why do we need another Batman origin movie? We don't need those, because we know who these characters are.
Yeah.
I love that they don't spend an entire issue talking about, or like, because if this was written at any other time, this would be, or if this was made into a movie, this would be an entire issue.
Yeah.
Of like Batman going to the circus. Oh, he's talking to Dick Grayson. Oh, Dick Grayson's talking to his parents, talking about how much he loves them, all that kind of shit. And then they die at the end of the issue.
Yeah, well, they use the visual storytelling to really convey the emotion here, because one of my favorite panels in this whole comic is Dick with like the circus spotlight on him, with him on his knees by his parents, and then Bruce in another like spotlight
watching
off to the side watching, and it's like, that is such visual storytelling, because
it's beautiful. It's literally the same.
Yeah, it's him looking at himself.
Yeah, it's the exact same pose and positioning that his parents died in, and how he was when they died.
It was so great. And then it's
beautiful.
We immediately cut from that to a narration of Batman basically saying, "I took this kid in," or Bruce saying, "I took," and we immediately get how just I feel so bad for Alfred.
Oh yeah,
because not only once but twice has he had to deal, and will in the future deal with, more unruly children.
Yeah, dude.
Because Dick is just on this chandelier.
He's a little shit.
And Alfred's like, "Dude, can you come down from there?" And Dick's like, "Why? You think I'm going to fall? I've been hired." And he's like, "I don't give a shit about you.
It's the chandelier.
You're going to ruin that perfectly nice chandelier."
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. We do also get the context that this is Father's Day.
Yes.
That this is happening, or this issue. And yeah, no, he tells Dick to get down. Obviously, the Maronis, or not the Maronis, Anthony Zuko is like, "Hey, we're the ones that broke the rope, essentially."
Yeah, it was an accident. We made it look like an accident.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Now the kid's living with that fucking rich dude, Bruce Wayne.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing bad's going to come from that.
Yeah.
So who do we really have to thank for the dynamic duo? Is it really Batman, or is it really Zuko?
It's this fat fuck Zuko.
Yeah.
We also get the knowledge that since the Joker attack, all three of the Falcone siblings have been put under like arrest in a sense.
Yeah,
they're in an interrogation room, and they put them all together to see what happens, because they all hate each other.
Yeah.
And obviously Mario and Sophia are arguing with each other, and Alberto's the only one who has any common sense, and he's like, "You understand that behind this mirror, it's like actually, or behind me is not a mirror, it's actually like a one-way window.
So shut up.
So shut the fuck up," because Batman and Commissioner Gordon are on the other side watching.
And it's like, wow, that's obviously like the brains of the operation here. And they even bring it up. They're like, "Man, that's a pretty sane, smart person for someone who claims to hear their dead father,"
Yeah.
And then Porter comes in, and she's just like, "I have to let them go." The judge, like, they need to be released immediately. And Jim's like, "That's an awful idea." And she's like, "Well, it's not my fucking choice."
Yeah. They got some good ass attorneys.
I will say, I do respect Porter for being able to just straight up stare down Batman.
Yeah.
Like,
not a lot of people do it.
Not a lot of people do it. Yeah. So I'm like, and I think that's why she kind of grew on me, even though I knew she was technically bad because she was sleeping with Two-Face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know you're bad, but like I feel like you're a bit more, because it seems like she wants to do her job. It's just when it comes to Harvey that obviously it is clouded.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm kind of like, you could have been a really cool, like, character, but you're bad. And it's like, I don't want you to be bad because you're honestly kind of cool, but.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying. So back at Wayne Manor, Dick enters Thomas and Martha's room.
Yeah.
Which in like all Batman media has been like left untouched. It's like the exact way they left it the night of the murder.
Yeah.
And Alfred, I really like the way this is done because it's they're mirrored. Alfred walks in on Dick picking up Martha's like hairbrush.
Yeah.
And after he, confronts him, it cuts to a flashback, black and white, page of the exact same thing where Bruce opens the door, walks in, picks up the hairbrush, and is looking at it.
And we're back in that kind of like oil painted, like it's so cool. I honestly, these upcoming panels of like with Alfred talking to Dick and then getting the flashbacks of Alfred talking to Bruce, like that whole bit of like them having that conversation, honestly, kind of gave me chills a little bit. Yeah. I thought it was so well done.
I agree.
It's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. Alfred's like asked Dick like, "Hey, what are you doing in here?" And Dick is like, my mom used to have a hairbrush that looked just like this. And he's like, my dad would get so upset because she would always do her makeup, make sure she looked
brush her hair.
Yeah, very pretty. And, my dad always hated being late to our shows, that kind of deal. And, Alfred, he says like, oh, it's natural for you to be curious, to like explore in places that you obviously shouldn't, that kind of deal. And, you should put this up. I'm sure, like, we can go downstairs. I'll fix you food. I'm sure Master Wayne will, be home soon, that kind of deal. And, Dick is like, why? Like, Bruce Wayne doesn't care about me. Like, I'm just some rube to him.
Why would he care about me?
Yeah. And Alfred's like, you guys aren't so different. Like, he lost his parents at, the same age, that kind of deal. And Dick is like, so we're both orphans. And then he looks into the mirror and he says, like, I've never spent Father's Day by myself. And in the reflection, it's not him, but a young childhood, Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne. And then we get the exact same, conversation, or not the same conversation, but we get the same type of scenario in the flashback where Bruce is like, I miss them. Like, this was my mom's brush. She would brush her hair, and then my father would be waiting impatiently because, whenever we went out, we'd be late, that kind of, or he hated being late. And, he basically tells Alfred, like, I'm an orphan and I'll have to get used to it.
And I'm all alone.
Yeah. And he's all alone. And, the flashback ends with Alfred just standing there in silence while Bruce leaves. And Dick says, like, I'm all alone now, Mr. Pennyworth. And Alfred says, like, I wish I had said this a long time ago, but you're not alone and you never will be.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice moment.
That moment when he's like, I wish I had told this to someone a long time ago. That when he said that to him, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's so good. Because also in my head, and I could be overthinking about it, I'm like, what if Bruce had just turned out completely different, all because Alfred like told him or showed him he wasn't alone?
I mean, that's a big part of Alfred's character.
Yeah, would he have become Batman if he had not been like more
of a father?
Of a father.
Yeah, because that's a big part of Batman, is like Bruce views Alfred as his father.
Yeah.
And Alfred has always felt like he did Bruce a huge disservice by not being there for him the way that he should have been. But obviously, Bruce has made sure that Alfred knows, like, it's not your fault. And in all honesty, I feel like, well, it's kind of fucked up to say, it's good that things turned out the way they did, because Bruce has done more good for the world as Batman than he would have as just normal Bruce Wayne. And if you think about it, he has given children who are either just like him or less fortunate than him to have an outlet to overcome their trauma, and has created forces of good that have gone on to do great things for the world, especially Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Who, by all accounts, and this isn't just me saying this because I'm a huge Nightwing fan, people in the DC universe, fucking Superman has said it, that Dick Grayson is the greatest superhero out of all of them and will be the greatest superhero after they're done.
I mean, that's
fucking
cool.
that is
I
the
like Nightwing too. Like
that is, you can't get any better than that.
Though I do like the recent conversation that's come up around, at least in my perspective, recent has come up around Bruce Wayne and Batman of like, you know, obviously he does to a degree, like he supports like charities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know with like the new with Robert Pattinson's Batman and stuff, like they have that line in there where it's like where that detective is like, you know, you don't donate anymore or anything like that when they're at the funeral or whatever in that movie. Do you remember that?
I do, yes.
Yeah. I remember because of that there was a lot of conversation of like, does Bruce Wayne actually really do any good because he doesn't, like, I don't know, do like he has all this money, but what does he really do with it? Kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do like that conversation, but like you just said, like he's done a lot for the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, whenever Batman gets a girlfriend in the comics and then they find out that he's Batman and they're like, ugh, like you could be doing so much more with your money if you weren't Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, bitch, I fought Darkseid.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking serious?
I probably stopped this world from like snuffing out of existence more times than you can count.
Yeah.
Okay, Vicky.
It's 100%. It's like, bitch, get off my dick.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious?
Yeah, no. I also think that's funny because it's like, I mean, you could say that about like Tony Stark too. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. But also he like stopped Thanos or some shit.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what I mean?
You
Like,
did cause civil war, but you also did like help stop Doctor Doom
to
from
be fair,
fucking everything up.
Tony's a bit more, I think, morally gray, ambiguous.
Well, yeah, he is.
Know, which I definitely differentiates him and Batman because they're both
They're the rich white guy of their fucking universe.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what they are.
Yeah, no powers, but super rich. Their superpower is being rich. Yeah.
But no, I agree. Now, granted, I mean, Batman did create the OMAC project or Brother Eye, so I mean, well, you don't know anything about that,
No,
but we'll do it one day.
I'm just saying, But tangent. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I love it. It's great.
It's beautiful. I definitely think this is the best chapter out of all of them.
Yeah.
It's just for that scene alone. It's very nice. And the ending of this chapter is very nice. But before we get into that ending, we do get a meeting of the Special Task Force and Gordon. And essentially, one of them hasn't shown up. It's O'Connor. And Lopez is like, Gordon is essentially like, I shouldn't have gotten you guys involved because now one of you are dead. And
he's about to like disband the unit.
And they're all like, we know what we signed up for. Like, we're not afraid. Like, we're going to continue to help you because it's the right thing to do. You chose us for a reason. And then O'Connor hasn't shown up, and it turns out that he has been hanged
and killed in his bathroom.
And his note says order in the court, and it's actually on a piece of newspaper printout of the day that Harvey Dent got the acid thrown on his face.
Then we get to Batman interacting with Dick Grayson, and he's like, I know you snuck out and you went out to the circus, and he's like, don't deny it. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. And because he was also there.
Yeah. And Dick is like, I just want, like, I know my parents didn't die.
Yeah. Cause he says
from like an accident.
Yeah. Because he says like before every show, my father checked all the equipment.
Yep.
And he would have never let us go on performance with wonky equipment, essentially.
And you know what's crazy? I said it as a joke earlier about the net, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what's crazy to me is like, if your dad was so like safety conscious, like checking the equipment and everything like that, I'm sorry, but like,
I will say that's like a normal thing is to not have the safety net because it's supposed to be like a daredevil type. And when I say Daredevil, not the fucking comic book character, but like
Yeah,
real life, like adrenaline seeking.
I understand that.
It's like the fucking idiots who like climb skyscrapers with no safety gear.
I understand that, but you go to a show now, like a circus or anything that has like performances like that, there is a net there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because it's not necessarily about the danger of it. It's about the athleticism and the skill and everything to do it. So I'm just like, I'm being nitpicky. Like, I understand that, but it's just like, to me, like, okay, you're portraying your dad as super safety conscious, but he apparently didn't ever think it was a necessity to have a rope just in case.
It wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the budget for the circus.
I'm just saying, maybe I'm being a dick here, but you know.
So Batman's like, you know, do you know who did it? And essentially Robin tells him, oh, it was Anthony Zuko, that kind of deal. And Batman tells him, you go back inside. And then Bruce visits the grave of his parents. And he's like, I tried to get out here sooner, but I don't have any excuses for that. But I think there's something you should both know. He says, I brought in this young man, a boy actually, to stay at the house. And he lost both his parents. Yeah. And he's roughly the same age I was when I lost you. And he's like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't view myself as a father figure, but I think I can make a difference in this boy's life.
Yeah.
And he stands at his parents' graves for a second and then leaves, and that's the end of the chapter.
I love that last panel.
Yeah.
Of him walking down the side of, because his parents are on top of the hill, and just the moon in the distance, and it's all shadowed and silhouetted. Yeah. I just really like it.
So chapter 10. Get a nice little illustration of Freeze, Mr. Freeze. Mm-hmm. And it is 4th of July. And Bruce asked Dick, like, oh, do you like fireworks? And he's like, why the fuck do you care?
Yeah.
He's like, and Dick is like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
Like, you are rich and you come from money and I'm just some circus brat.
And also, Bruce is hardly around.
Yeah, he's barely there.
Yeah.
And, you know, Bruce says, like, well, I hope that you like living here soon. And if you think of anything that you want, ask Alfred and he can, you know, find it for you, or ask me and I'll buy it for you.
Yeah.
Kind of saying, like, I'll use my wealth to make sure you're happy, but that's not really what he needs or wants. Yeah. And, we cut to Jim and the rest of the task force
all
geared up in the sewer.
I was like, my boy's ready to get it.
Yeah, and Jim is like, this ends tonight.
Yep.
And a really cool narration we get from Batman is like, Jim is ready. He is ready to end this. It all started at last Halloween, but it ends now. And he's like, out of respect,
I'm going to stay to the shadows.
I'm going to stay to the shadows unless he needs me. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Jim needs to end this himself.
Because Jim believes it like with his whole heart that it's his job to stop it.
Yeah, because now 2 people of his task force are dead.
Yep. And he feels personally responsible for it.
Yeah. So they end up getting into the sewer, but they have to split off into 2 groups. So Lopez and Gordon go into one group, and then King and the Wilcox go to the other, and they split up. Obviously, they encounter Mr. Freeze and fight him. Lopez gets injured, and you know Gordon's obviously able to save her, but she can't really go on. And then when Batman shows up, she tells him, like, please look after.
Yeah, she's like, I don't need to say it, but please watch over him.
Which is funny because we get this really funny grid of Gordon trying to talk to Wilcox and King, but they're not really responding. And Mad Hatter is kind of up in the rafters of the sewer. And he's got a gun pointed at him, and he's looking at him. And then we see fucking Batman's hands grab the gun and then grab the top of Mad Hatter's fucking head and then pulls him back, and all that's left is the fucking hat.
When it's like, Gordon definitely would have died if Batman
100%.
But Batman's like a supportive dad, being like, you got this, bud. I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
Got it.
So Gordon, he's like, I'm going to circle back around and get King and Wilcox. I can't leave them behind. When he gets back, he sees that King has already been hanged.
Yeah.
and his note says justice is blind. And it has basically like a news printout of Falcone's death.
Yeah. So I for whatever reason, I just put this together because one of my complaints was that how did the killer who's been doing these get down here? Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm going to spoil it by saying when the killer's been looking for Dent, mm-hmm. So like the fact that Dent is down here and that's like it threw me off, but then I realized because of another character that dies, kind of is like maybe I should talk about it more when we get to it.
Yeah, let's hold off
because this was a moment that I had a complaint about in this story about some like narrative inconsistency, but now that I like for whatever reason talking about it and thinking about it here, I'm like, oh, like I get it now. Like I understand how this worked and why. So we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll hold off. Yeah. So King is dead, and then not too far, I guess, in the same area, Two-Face has Wilcox at gunpoint, and he's holding her hostage, and he's like, "You're gonna let me pass, or I'm gonna fucking kill her." And he does say, "I didn't kill King, but I will kill this bitch."
Yeah.
And they're having a stare off, and Wilcox is like, "Fucking do it, like kill him, like don't worry about me, Jim, I'm good." And they're having their stare down, and then Harvey just gives up.
Yeah,
and he says, "You got me," and he places them under arrest.
Yeah, at first I was like, man, like I definitely thought
there's gonna be a bit more of a fight.
Yeah, I definitely thought there was gonna be more of a fight, but we come to find out there was a reason why he let himself get taken.
Yeah, and we find that out in the next issue.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of this issue, at Haley's Circus, some of Zuko's men that are kind of planted there, or the Maroni men that are planted there at the circus, are kind of talking some mad shit about the Graysons. Yeah. And that is when Robin, with his little fucking sling, it starts pelting them with rocks, and he's like, you know what happened to the Graysons. I'm going to get that information out of you. And then they start beating the shit out of this little kid.
Yeah, and then Batman shows up and gives the guy a little smooch.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know why.
Yeah, fucking Batman starts interrogating Skeevers, and
it just looks like he's giving him a big old wet kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
With how it's illustrated, and I don't understand why.
Yeah. But Batman says, like, this circus is off limits. No. You tell everyone not to come back here. Yeah. Dick loses consciousness, and then when he wakes back up, he's in the Batcave. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not called the Batcave at the time. And he's like, you want to find the man who killed your parents. Like, I'm going to help you, but you need to be trained.
Yeah.
Like, you have to make sure you don't get hurt. And he's like, Dick's like, why do you care? Like, fucking, you shouldn't care. Like, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
But yet I see you more than I see
the guy who
Bruce
adopted
Wayne.
Me or whatever. Yeah. And during this build up of this conversation that he was having with Dick about training him and stuff, we are getting a narration and monologue about, again, Batman or Bruce revealing his identity to Dent. Would it have changed anything and stuff like that? And we get that.
The cool reveal. Obviously, we know who Batman is.
Yeah, exactly.
But he takes the cowl off, and he says, like, I know we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And that is the end of issue 10. Issue 11 has a really awesome fucking illustration of Poison Ivy, and Dent is being held, and Porter is trying to...
Okay. This right here is one of the instances of, like I brought up earlier, of the art kind of taking me out. Because the moment I saw it, I was like, that woman is not, like, that just seems so off to me. Mm-hmm. Like how the art is done for her and stuff like that. Because it literally looks like the top half of her body is, like, or her neck or whatever. Like, I don't know. It just looks off to me.
Yeah.
But.
So we get... little bits of what everyone's doing for this issue. You know, Porter is talking to Dent, trying to basically orchestrate the best way to get him out, essentially, like make sure he's not guilty, that kind of deal. And at the same time, Batman is looking for information on where Anthony Zuko is, and Robin is training, and we get a cute little moment where Robin is beating up this dummy, and then he ends up beating the head off of it. And Alfred says, like, that's coming out of your allowance, that kind of deal. It's really funny.
And Robin's like, he doesn't trust me. That's why he's not taking me out. And Alfred's like, dude,
You have no idea.
You're like the only person other than me that he's told is Batman. Do not even utter those words in my presence, okay?
Yeah. He's like, you have no idea.
Yeah, like, you don't understand how privileged you are, my child.
Yeah. And then at the Falcone mansion, Alberto is being talked to by his father's ghost again. And his father's ghost is like, you need to eliminate anyone who stands in your way. And it's like, you can't trust anyone, all this stuff.
You got to be the head of the family.
You have to be the head family. And we get this really cool black and white. And it's not the same black and white as the flashbacks. It's like the Long Halloween flashbacks.
Because
or not flashbacks, but murder scenes.
He's dressed in his trench coat and stuff like he
the holiday killer.
As the holiday killer. He's got the 22 with the
baby bottle nipple on it. Yeah.
And it's a 100% callback to him as Holiday, and I thought it was really cool. And his glasses are the only color.
Yeah,
and it's great.
It's so cool. But he's going to kill Sophia, and then he doesn't.
Yeah, he sees her
as like a broken woman.
Yeah,
essentially,
because she's like touching her reflection on the mirror of 3 scratches on her face, which is exactly like the scratches that Catwoman gave Carmine.
Yeah.
And so like Sophia's not right.
No.
She's messed up at the moment.
Yeah. Anthony Zuko is at the Ox Club. It's crazy that he was in charge of the Cheetah Room and now he's part of the Ox Club.
They got a whole zoo going on.
Yeah, for real. And he is just stuffing his fucking gullet, and that's when, you know, Robin is like, "Oh, you killed the Graysons," or sorry, he's not Robin yet. He is Dick.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta correct myself.
Chill, dude. Yeah. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, I know,
we
right?
Get there.
He's like, "Oh, you killed the Graysons. Like, you need to answer for those murders." And Zuko's like, "Yeah, right. That's not happening." And he's like, "Wait, what the fuck? Who said that?" And then he freaks out. He runs out of there, and Robin fucking.
Karate.
He beats the shit out of
yeah.
him. And Zuko ends up having a heart attack.
And dying.
And fucking...
And yet Batman doesn't kill, but he just caused a man to have a heart attack.
Yeah, well, he didn't.
Robin did. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. And
my mistake.
He, Batman's essentially like, I helped this child, like, get justice for his fucking...
I helped this child kill a man.
Yeah, it was indirect, but yeah.
He's like, I didn't do it. I didn't kill him. I just sat back and watched the man have a heart attack, even though I probably have a gadget somewhere on my utility belt that would definitely keep him from dying.
This is early Batman. This is early Batman.
Sorry. Early Batman can't tap into his superpower of prep time yet.
Nope, not until he's friends with Superman.
Yeah, okay, all right, whatever. Batman's a murderer.
Yeah,
he just helped kill a man.
So it is now the day of Two-Face's court hearing, and this is when it is revealed that Mario Falcone has been feeding information to Porter.
Yes.
About the Carmine.
Yeah.
So, had some technical difficulties. So, if there's a weird cut, it's because our SD card ran out of memory and I had to do some finagling to figure that shit out. So, yeah, back into the story. That's the first time that's happened to us.
Yeah.
So, we cut to the day of the courthouse hearing, and it is revealed that Mario is kind of feeding information to Porter.
Yeah.
Essentially because he wants to make his business legitimate. he is feeding information to her about the illegal goings on with the Falcones, Maronis, all of them. And in return, Porter has somewhat kind of promised to keep his name out of the media circus of everything that's going on. And yeah, that's essentially it. We get the reveal that like, oh, maybe he's not as as like squeaky clean as he says he is, but at the end of the day, he's not necessarily doing anything wrong.
Yeah, he's snitching on his family.
He doesn't know that Porter is working with
Harvey.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, his intentions are good because he is trying to make things legitimate.
Yeah.
So,
and obviously we have the court hearing with Dent. You know, they go over his past, his connection with the holiday killings and all that stuff. And obviously they are saying he is the Hangman Killer. And before we got cut off, Mason had mentioned how he really loved this double page splash of Dent calling for recess.
As all his supervillain friends bust through the floor.
Yeah,
Batman hopping in there to get into the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and it looks awesome. Batman jumps in, but the villains do end up getting the better of him, and they escape with Dent. And at this time, while it's going on, Wilcox is leaving for the day, and she ends up getting caught in a noose and is hanged.
And she's talking on the radio to, I think, Lopez.
Yes.
And as she's getting hung by the noose, she says, "But we had a..."
Yeah.
And then she passes. And there's a cool panel. I like the panel of her body in the elevator, and just like the elevator light illuminating her.
Yeah, it closes and then opens back up.
Yeah.
Her note says an eye for an eye.
Yep.
And that is the end of issue 11. We are now on issue 12, which is the penultimate issue, the second to last issue. And Porter has made her way down into the sewer.
Looking for Harvey. And she is met by Joker and Scarecrow, the two Batman villains I would not want to fucking see. Especially in a dark, dank sewer.
Yeah, for real.
I'd ship myself right there, to be honest with you.
And they drag her before Dent, and she is like, you know, you guys let me go. You don't know who I am. And she looks at Harvey and she's like, tell them who I am. Tell me that that we're in love and that I love you. And before she can even finish her sentence, Dent pulls out a gun and just shoots her in the head.
Now, the thing is it's not just any gun. It is the same caliber as the Holiday Killers.
Yep.
And just shoots her dead.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I was kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. And like, I'm kind of sad that she died. Not because I thought she was a great person or anything, but again, because like I thought her character was cool. I liked her kind of back and forth with Jim and stuff like that, and how she was like so not, I guess, intolerant of Batman and like his interference and stuff. Because like I said earlier, I do think that she wanted to do her job in a lot of aspects. Just obviously she was in love with Harvey. Kind of a crazy obsession and stuff. And so I thought I was genuinely surprised that they killed her off in this.
It's very abrupt. Something that we did kind of forget to mention towards the beginning of this episode is one of the first meetings that Porter and Batman have. Batman asks Porter, like, hey, so when you and Mario Falcone went to college together, like, what did you guys do? And it's revealed that like Batman is snooping on her because she's new and like he knows nothing about her. And she's like, oh, well, he transferred out and went to Oxford basically right when I got there.
Yeah.
And in this issue, Batman shows up to meet with Gordon and Lopez. And Batman's like, hey, do you remember when I mentioned like, oh, she went to college with Mario Falcone? Well, I did a little bit more digging, and I found her yearbook at her apartment, because he actually went to her apartment and noticed that she had been missing for 2 days. And he's like, well, she didn't just go to, the same university as Mario Falcone. She went to the same university as Harvey Dent.
Because Harvey had sent or signed her yearbook, and it says, Porter, good luck at Harvard, signed Harvey.
Yeah.
And that's when they kind of realize, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, she has a connection. I think it's somewhat alluded to. Maybe they had some kind of romance before she went to Harvard or something like that.
This is also when they draw the conclusion that all the people that are dying at this point do not have a connection with Harvey. They have a connection with Jim.
Yep. And also that they're like, we can safely assume that everything that we know about the Hangman case and everything else, Two-Face knows as well.
Yeah.
He knows everything.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Alberto waking up to like some Godfather stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where he wakes up, blood all over him, and a gun in his hand, the same gun that killed Porter, and Porter's dead body at his feet on the bed. He's covered in blood. There's the shell casings on the bed, like everything to set him up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I didn't kill this woman again. So his dad's voice calling to him, and then it ends up being like, take your own life. Like that's the only way you can not disappoint me now, is by taking your own life. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that is not.
That's insane.
That's not what my dad would tell me to do. Yeah. And he looks at the mirror and he's like, you're not my father, puts a bullet in it. And then we see Calendar Man behind this mirror, which it's funny because it's like, earlier when they were held captive, he's like, that's a mirror, a two-way mirror. Someone's on the other side.
But he couldn't
recognize it in his own home.
Yep.
But it is explained later why that's the case. But Calendar Man's like, no, I'm not your father. The Calendar Man is being forgotten, and that's unacceptable. Then we immediately cut to Calendar Man, like, fucked up on the ground outside of the villa or whatever, and Batman and Jim are investigating, and he's got Alberto's tracking anklet on.
Yeah, his house arrests.
There's the shoe prints of Alberto and stuff like that, and I was instantly like, look, I understand Calendar Man is not like necessarily a super physical like fighter or anything.
No, but Alberto is a cripple.
He's a cripple and
he's a beanpole.
He's literally like 50 pounds soaking wet with 2 bricks in each pocket.
Yeah.
Like, he is not a physical specimen.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely.
So I was like, how the fuck? And then it's also shown that Sophia is missing and not in her wheelchair. And there's all these like cameras and microphones behind that mirror, and like it explains that the whole villa had been wired with bugs and radios and cameras and stuff. And they obviously, knowing what they know about Porter now, they're like, oh, well, Porter is the one that okayed for them to have Alberto sent here. And that's also kind of like a clue to them that Alberto probably didn't kill Porter, and they're starting to be like, oh, I think Dent had this plan like all along.
Yeah.
And it's like, because Dent, I think he wanted to take down Alberto. Mm-hmm. He wanted revenge, essentially, for what happened to him, and everyone thinking he was the holiday killer and everything like that.
Yeah.
So,
also, let me just say, sorry if you guys hear music in the background. I believe my wife is doing something, and there's music in the background now.
She's blasting tunes, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
That just shows we might need to invest in some soundproofing.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, that whole scenario happens, and then we cut to Bruce in the Batcave trying to figure out these murders, and Robin or Dick is there, and he is like, trying to think of, what the answer could be. And Bruce is like, hey, this isn't a game.
This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but Dick is like, no. Hear me out, man. All right, hear me out. And he's like, instead of saying none of you are safe, what if it's 9 of you are safe?
Yeah,
because there's all the 9 people of the families and everything like that.
Because he's looking back and forth at the essentially the Falcone crime family tree, essentially, that Bruce has mocked up, and of course it comes out to 9 people.
Yeah.
And Bruce is like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And he immediately figures out who it is.
Yeah, he looks at Dick Grayson also. I thought it was really funny because at first he's like, you're a kid, you don't really like, this isn't a game and all this, like very dismissive. And then as basically Dick semi-solved it, he looks at him and is like, okay, this boy shows promise.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. So he goes to the Falcone penthouse. He goes into Sophia's like study area that we've seen before, and he opens up this secret passageway behind bookcases, and you see
all these nooses
and masks. Now, I will say we've never seen this mask being worn, so I don't understand the inclusion of it.
I think it's just to give it more of that serial killer flair, to be honest with you.
But while he's looking at this, he gets a note that says you lose, and then a noose wraps around his neck and begins to drag him outside, and that's when we get Catwoman saying, look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah, she's up there by the where the noose is at and everything. And I was like, I can't tell if they're trying to be like, oh, Catwoman. Like Catwoman's the baddie or something like that, but I was like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah. So that's the end of issue 12. Now we get the final issue 13, which is awesome because it is the final issue, and it is, instead of it being black with a singular color, it's now, the background is now white, and it shows Batman and Robin.
Yeah. And it's still cool. I mean, I like the other covers better.
Yeah, but you see the progression storytelling in it. So, issue begins, Batman's able to get himself up and immediately begins to fight Catwoman.
Kind of beats her up a little bit.
Yeah, beats the shit out of her, and he is questioning her and is like, you're going to tell me what you're doing, all that kind of shit.
You disappeared for 6 months, and she was like...
I was in Italy.
And that... referencing her story.
Yeah, when in Rome. And then we get this flashback of her recounting what happened during Long Halloween, because obviously she had a fight with Sophia at the end of that story. And she says, I had to go to Italy because I noticed something. And she says, the night that we fought, I scratched the right side of her face, and she fell. And I caught her with the bolo tie, but the way that she landed, it basically like hung her
and catapulted
her through the window of the skyscraper, and she was fucked up.
I think she says it sliced like half the right side of her face up and like off.
So they took her family took her back to Italy, and she had plastic surgery. And as she was looking in the mirror after the job was done, she grabbed a scalpel and cut the left side of her face.
Yeah, the 3 like scratches like Catwoman gave her father, because her father would never be like
gone.
Not a part of her. He'd always be a part of her.
Yeah. And she noticed something was off, and she was like, well, with what happened to her, she would have needed like therapy. Like, she would have needed like a neurologist type deal. And she was like, I spent forever looking for medical records, and I never found them.
Yeah, and Batman's like, what is Sophia Falcone to you? And she won't really give him a straight answer, but she's like, why is it so hard for you to understand when you blame yourself for Harvey Dent and you didn't even throw the acid? Harvey Dent and Batman's like, Harvey Dent was a friend, so who is Sophia to you? Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously he doesn't know that Falcone was her father. So that makes Sophia like her sister in a way, even though they never really had that kind of relationship. But then he just disappears. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the last we see of her for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. We get a montage of the supervillains basically cleaning house, killing the last of the crime families. Yep. And it's officially over.
Yeah, this is essentially the moment in the history of Batman where the supervillains have taken over crime in Gotham.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have the classic mobsters and stuff. In my opinion, this is the moment where Batman goes from being like a street level hero to like a full-on superhero.
Yeah, he's no longer a vigilante.
Yeah, he becomes a hero.
Yeah. So they have officially taken out all of the other crime families except for the Falcone siblings.
Yep.
And they're essentially getting ready to finish the job. Well, we cut to the Falcone mausoleum. Alberto is injured and Sophia is with him, and you know, he's bitching and moaning, and so Sophia's like, you need to man the fuck up. Like,
she's like, you took one little bullet from Calendar Man and you're like keeling over. Dad took 5 bullets once and lived. And Alberto's like, I am not my father. I just want to live, dude. I just want to like.
And she's like, you're right. You're not our father. And then she fucking suffocates him.
Yeah, kills him. And he can't really fight back because his hand is crippled.
Yeah. While fucking Jim, Batman, Lopez, and Mario are all at the GCPD, they are trying to basically they're keeping Mario under protection because all these mob bosses got fucking murked, and they're trying to get some information out from him about the stuff found at the penthouse, and he's like, I don't know anything. And
they're going over the Wilcox like recording and stuff too.
And they put it together, and Mario is the one that's like, we had a deal. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And obviously Lopez takes that personally, and fucking Mario's like, look, I'm just being realistic. Like, she had to have been on Sophia's payroll because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Because he had seen on the payroll an L. Wilcox on her payroll with a lot of money attached to it.
And that's when Batman's like, this confirms that Sophia is the hangman.
Yep.
And that is when all hell breaks loose and a bunch of explosives come out. Or a bunch of explosives basically blow up the commissioner's office. The sewer is blown up, that kind of deal.
Like gas lines explode.
Yeah. Batman rushes to the sewers and actually saves Scarecrow. It's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, but then it's immediately like, tell me where Two-Face is or I'll throw you right back in. And I guess Scarecrow kind of tells him where he's at because as Two-Face is trying to like escape and survive this, he gets caught up in Sophia's hangman rope. And this is when she kind of goes like, no one ever would have suspected me because everyone thought I was just wheelchair bound and couldn't move. And look, to her credit, Joker would like, I have a feeling she probably would have last second gone for the gun and like fought against her or fought against Joker. But like, even when her life was literally on the line, she still stuck to the role of being handicapped. Of not being able to move or anything like that. But yeah, she's basically like, my father once told me, you're never stronger than when your enemy thinks you are weak. Yeah. And that's what she did. No one would have suspected her because, you know, she's wheelchair bound. And I forgot about it in Long Halloween because she's been in the wheelchair. And I think they might have done this on purpose. But with her now standing and everything, she is a hulking size.
Oh,
like
yeah.
she is
She's
big
massive
person.
Yeah.
And it's like that makes so much sense why she was able to like do these hangman killings.
Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah, for her, it makes way more sense than the Alberto stuff.
Yes, 100. It makes so much more sense than fucking Gilda. Much more sense.
Yeah.
Like the actual reveal of who the killer was in this makes so much more fucking sense than Gilda. Because I remember bringing it up in Long Halloween. I'm like, this woman, you're telling me that she had like pinpoint accuracy with a fucking 22, which is not a super like.
This story is
It's much better.
It's much better.
I think it's so much better.
So yeah, Batman or Sophia, she begins to hang Two-Face up by the noose, and Batman intervenes and is able to, start beating the shit out of her. And Batman's like, this is the end of the Carmine or the Falcone family. But before he can even finish his sentence, she gets shot right in the fucking head.
Yeah. and then
Dent
hung
fucking
by her
shoot.
own rope.
Yeah,
too.
fucking Two-Face fucking kills her.
Yeah. And Two-Face is like, if you wanted it to end, Bat, so did I. Now there aren't going to be any insanity pleas this time.
Yeah.
Really, I think sticking that a part of Harvey's still in there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it's a bitter version of what he once was.
Yeah. Dent begins to lead the villains out of the sewer. They end up finding this grate, and he has Grundy open it.
It's electrified.
Yeah, so Grundy fucking
quote unquote dies.
Yeah, but he's a zombie, so he'll be back. And they end up stumbling into the fucking back cave.
Of all places.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know how far they would have had to walk?
A long ways.
That's because it's not like Wayne Manor is inside Gotham.
No,
it's on the outskirts of the city.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's like, you would have thought that Batman might have been like, that might be a glaring problem that this is just connected to the...
Because imagine if some maintenance dude had just walked out there.
Gets lost, or a homeless person.
Yeah. So they get in and they're like, what the fuck is this place? And it's like, oh, well, this is how they find out he has a fucking cave.
Well, the thing is, I think they never
make it to like the...
Yeah, because the way the panel is that there's levels. And they're on this very bottom level, and just a level above them and a level above that is where all Batman's like computers and stuff are. So they just think they're in a random ass cave.
Yeah.
But they're actually in the Batcave, which is crazy to me.
So Dick hears them break in, and he's like, all right, it's showtime. And he gets his little outfit that he's made himself, and he begins to fuck with them, and he ends up getting Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy knocked out. Yeah. And that is when we get the full reveal as Joker and Two-Face are shooting at him that he has donned his own outfit. And Two-Face is like, it's just some kid by himself. And then Robin says, not alone. A dynamic duo.
Yeah.
And Batman jumps in.
Punching Two-Face and Robin kicking Joker. It's like, okay.
This is it.
Yeah. This is like where we're getting to where Batman is who we know and love.
Yeah.
And
we get this narration from Batman where he's like, I think about Gordon reminding me how Harvey Dent played cards with him, how they got drunk together, how Gordon insisted that no matter what he's become, Harvey was my friend too.
Yeah.
And, he's like,
not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, because Harvey's like, Bats, stop. Like trying to plead to the fact that they were once friends.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, not this time, as he just gives him another fucking hit.
Yeah. And Harvey or Two-Face points a gun at Batman, and then you get the blam panel, and turns out Joker has shot Dent, and Dent falls over the ledge of this cave. And I am mixed on that, I will say, because I don't like that Joker has to have the last like
laugh
in this story. Like, we get so many Joker stories. Like, I kind of just wanted this to be the like, this is Two-Face. This is Two-Face's story. He doesn't get a lot of them.
Well, I think it eases the tension a little bit that it's not a super drawn out thing, because immediately Joker gets taken care of by Robin.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost not even really allowed to like finish his monologue.
Yeah. I will say it is cool that Joker's like, never understood this city, not like you and me.
Yeah.
And you get that like, oh, they're setting up like the
whole
relationship.
Yeah.
So you can see that they started that shit.
And obviously Two-Face is not dead.
No, yeah, like, of course.
Because he's even shown again later in
at the end of
issue.
So, but that's basically it. And it is funny because Batman, he's looking at Robin. He's like, what in the hell are you fucking wearing, kid?
Dude, I'm about to get so many accusations with that fucking outfit.
Which he did.
Which he did.
He did. That was a big part of the Corruption of the Innocents book that was released, where the dude who wrote that was like, comic books are promoting homosexuality and all this other stuff. And he used Batman and Robin as the prime example.
Dude, I'm just saying, like, I get... Maybe it's like his circus background, but like, dude, like, throw some like pants on, because you know how much like tactical shit, like in the sense of like you're gonna be busting through glass or like fighting bad guys, and you're just going raw dog bare skin on that shit. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it's just funny. We will not get a Robin outfit with actual pants until the fucking 90s,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
until the third Robin shows up.
That's just wild to me, honestly. Yeah. Like, what a choice.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why a lot of people say Tim Drake's their favorite Robin, because he introduced the Robin look that everyone now kind of just associates with that.
I mean, like, because I'm just thinking of like the old Teen Titans show.
Yeah,
that Robin.
But that's Dick Grayson, but he uses Tim Drake's outfit.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like it was the same exact thing. It had pant legs. Yeah. It's the same exact shit. Just it has pant legs.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Just, if you're gonna fight crime, throw on some goddamn pants. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
For real. So we cut to the end of this book. Batman and Jim are on this rooftop. They've essentially made amends, and Batman's like, I should have trusted you. Like, we're a team.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. And Jim's like, do you think Harvey's really dead? And he's like, I don't know. I never found his body, but he also got shot by the fucking Joker and then fell.
Yeah.
Like, I can't give you a definitive answer. And they kind of leave it at that. And Jim's like, I heard that you have a partner now. He's like, he's a boy, a small boy. He's like, I'd like to meet him one day.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, yes, I am, and you will meet him. And he says, I know I don't say this often, Batman, but thank you.
Yeah. For
everything. Sophia, she killed a lot of cops. She killed a lot of people I considered friends as well. And like, I couldn't have stopped her without you. And Batman, it's one of those situations, kind of like Batman Begins, where Jim Gordon's like, I never said thank you, and Batman says, and you never will.
Yeah.
That kind of deal.
And then we get Gordon with his family.
Yeah, Gordon, Lopez, all of them are, hanging out, doing Halloween stuff, because it's just like Long Halloween, where the story ends where it began, that kind of deal.
And he basically is like, I need a new chief soon.
Yeah.
And is going to probably make Lopez chief.
Yeah. Mario ends up having a mental breakdown and burns down the Falcone mansion.
Yep.
They do find Alberto's dead body at the mausoleum, and Catwoman basically says her goodbyes to Carmine, saying like, you're my father. Even if I can't find the proof, I know in my heart that you are.
We never talked in person, so why we'll start now. She puts a rose down and just walks away.
And then they reveal Dent is still alive, and he has the body of Carmine Falcone.
Yeah, he's frozen in ice.
Yep. And at the very end, we get this ceremony where Batman says, like, he's asking Robin, like, can I change your mind? And Dick is like, no.
Yeah.
he's like, you might want to rethink the yellow cape. And he's like, nope, those were the colors that my parents wore in the circus. And he's like, okay, then what do you call yourself? And Dick says, Robin.
Because he does mention earlier that his mom used to call him Robin all the time because he was constantly like bouncing around and climbing stuff and moving around.
Yeah. And we get this really nice narration from Bruce that says, deep within the caves beneath my father's house, I remember what Catwoman said. A father's love can be a terrible thing. How the rage brought on by the death of the Romans changed Sophia's life, and what the murder of my own parents brought out in myself. Now I see in Dick the chance to help him cope with his own loss and guide him to being a better man for it. And he says, I made a promise to my parents that I would rid this city of the evil that took their lives. That remains unchanged, only now I am no longer alone. Yeah. And then at the end, all Batman says is Batman and Robin.
Yeah. And then it bringing that full circle to in the very first issue when he was like, I am alone.
Yeah.
You know, and this, I felt for me personally, with what exposure I have to the Batman universe, I really felt this brought me to like the here and now of Batman. Like we are now officially in like the prime time of Batman history and things. Like a lot of stories like get drawn from and everything like that.
Yeah.
How I would equate it in Warhammer terms is like year one, Long Halloween and Dark Victory was like Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And now we're in
the present
40K. We're no longer in 30K. We are now in 40K.
Yeah, this is kind of what I meant at the beginning of the episode, where I was like, I feel like this is going to be kind of the last like main origin story we will cover.
Yeah.
Because it kind of just feels like year one, Long Halloween and Dark Victory is just one big origin story.
Yeah, it's just one long trilogy of Batman becoming the hero that he is now. Because like I said, there is that moment when Two-Face has his villain friends all murder all the rest of the mafia families and stuff. That right there is not only the death of those families, it is the death of normal crime. Yeah. I mean, like, there's still, like, people who rob banks and stuff, but, like, organized, like...
The stories we will have from now on are going to be fantastical. Like, I will be honest, this is kind of the... Like, there are side stories we can always cover, because, of course, there's, like, Shadow of the Bat or Legends of the Dark Knight, which are more grounded stories. Yeah. But this is kind of the last, like... the Falcons are a major player in the Batman universe.
Now it's like Penguin's done it again.
Yeah, you know? it's like, crazy shit now. Like,
this just in, Joker murdered a fucking orphanage.
Yeah, like it is absolutely wild stuff. Like we are not going to get, I think, stories this down to earth for Batman, like in a while.
Which I think is a shame, because I do really like the down earth aspect of it. Don't get me wrong, I do like some of the fantastical stuff that he does, but I do think Batman works the best when it's more grounded stories. I like the vigilante side.
I like it, but I don't see. This is rough, because I've always said because I'm not a huge Nolan trilogy fan.
Yeah.
Because it has kind of warped the general public's perception of Batman as a character, where people do not like Batman comics. Like what I would say normies do not like Batman comics because he's like hanging out with Superman and all that. Yeah. And they're like, it's not realistic. I like realistic characters. Or they say they don't like Superman because he's not realistic like Batman. And I'm like, Batman's not a realistic character whatsoever. Yeah. He is a dude with money that's about as real as it gets. He dresses up like a fucking bat and hangs out with aliens and fucking magicians all day. I mean, he fights a clown.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
He's not a realistic person.
No.
You can be grounded. Yeah. That's different though. So like I can understand your viewpoint of like, yeah, his street level stories are
I find them more interesting.
Like, I think you'll like Court of Owls. Well, that still has fantastical elements to it. it
still has a level of believable.
Yeah, because it deals
to
with the idea of like secret societies and cults and all that kind of stuff, while still having some like crazy shit in there. But then like you can't just have that and him exist in the same world as Superman and fucking Darkseid.
It's the same stuff with Spider-Man, like that. I love it when he's being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but it's when he's dealing with like apocalyptic shit and everything like that. I'm like it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. But I just really like it when it's more like
it gets personal.
Yeah, when it's the more personal, grounded stories and everything like that. So I don't get me wrong, I still think with Batman's Rogue Gallery, you can very much still have that groundedness, despite them being all kind of wacky in their own way.
Yeah.
But as far as fighting aliens and stuff like that, I'm not entirely sold on. I think Batman's Rogue Gallery, all of his villains are realistic enough and non-fantastical that with him battling them on his own in his solo stories can be very much grounded and still have the same feel. It's definitely, I think, when he teams up with other people that it's too fantastical for me.
I guess I have a different viewpoint on all of that, but I'm also coming at it from the perspective of this is the natural progression of the character.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you were saying, where it's these three stories kind of coalesce into what we know as Batman. This is Batman fulfilled.
Yeah.
This is the character that everyone knows at the end of Dark Victory. Him becoming a Justice League member is just an evolution of that. Of he is the dark side of the DC universe, but when he meets the other heroes, his world becomes a little less dark.
Yeah.
And so he's able to relate to people more, and he's able to be out during the daytime
and be more of a hero.
And be more of a hero. Because you can't sit there and say Batman's a fucking vigilante when he's standing next to Superman.
I mean, technically you could say they're all vigilantes.
They're all crime fighters. Superman has a goddamn holiday. He's not a crime fighter. He's a fucking hero.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, by definition, they're technically all vigilantes because they are not.
They work outside the law.
Yeah, they are not paid public servants.
At least at this time. Yeah. So, but I mean, I don't really have that many other opinions on the story. I think it's great. I think it's a fun story. I knew this was going to be better. I mean, I even told you on Discord one night, a few nights ago, where I was like, I think we're gonna like this more than Long Halloween, because I was rereading it this is the second time I've ever read the story. I only read it once, and it was when I was in high school, and I couldn't remember most of it. And I was like, I don't know. If I don't remember, I don't think it's gonna be as good.
Yeah.
I think this is better.
I very much like this more than Long Halloween. And that's not to say that Long Halloween was bad, because I did like Long Halloween a lot. It just goes to show how much better, I think, how much of a step up this was, I think, from Long Halloween. Yeah. I think they took probably some of the more weaker sides of Long Halloween and improved on that with this story.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This kind of takes the best aspects of, like you just said, Long Halloween and Year One. Mm-hmm. And it is also really nice because you get a lot of closure for Year One as well.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words, but it feels like a good beginning, middle, and end for these three books. Yeah. And I feel satisfied with kind of our origin story, trajectory now. And I feel like we can kind of expand more into the broader DC universe without having to continuously do origin stories for characters. And I don't know. This is good. I really like this story. I can't recommend it enough. I mean, you can go out and buy this as a trade. You can buy it as an omnibus, as a part of the Tim Sale Jeff Loeb collection. You can get it on the DC Infinite app. I mean, it's everywhere. It's considered an evergreen story, which means it'll always be in print. DC and Marvel both have that. Yeah. Their evergreen line. You can get this alongside Year One and Long Halloween, and you can read all three of them all the way through, and you'll get, in my opinion, a very satisfying story.
Yeah, I liked all three, Year One, Long Halloween, and Dark Victory. it's one of the it's one of those things where it's like, if you really want to know a character, like truly want to know what the character is about, I would say read all 3 of these.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, because I wasn't expecting how much year 1 was going to play into this. And I was really surprised and pleasantly so by that. Yeah. I was like, wow, it really does feel like a trilogy of movies.
Yeah.
You know, like it truly does.
Yeah. This is this is really seeing Jeff Loeb on his like A game, which is something I can't really say a whole lot, because like he has written some stuff I really like, and he has written some stuff that everybody hates.
Yeah. And like not a hot take, like people hate it. It's like,
yeah, he wrote Ultimatum, which is arguably the worst Marvel event of all time.
Which, you know, is like it's sad, truly.
Yeah. But obviously there's a lot of history that goes into that, and we can discuss that at a later date. But yeah, no, I mean that's essentially all I really have to say for
I don't have much either. Thank you for bearing with us on this episode with our technical difficulties.
Yeah, this is gonna be a long episode. I think this might be longer than Long Halloween, which was a 3-hour episode.
Yeah,
but that's okay, because I feel like
this is worth it.
Yeah, this is worth it. This is a really big story for Batman and for us, and I think I think I am very excited for our next DC story now, and I will say it's not an origin story, so you guys can look forward to that. I won't quite reveal what it is, but you know, you guys might enjoy it.
Yeah. So other than that, please like and subscribe, and you know, interact with the video, you know, comment and all that. Also give us a follow on Instagram, and I believe our TikTok should be up as well for this.
We are going to strive quickly to make sure that stuff is all up.
Yeah.
Mason has been really pushing for this stuff to, you know, get started, and I am 100% behind him on it. I think it's super important. Yeah. And hopefully it'll help us grow a little bit more. You know, obviously we're still doing this because
it's fun.
It's so much fun. And that's the main reason why you should do something, is because it's fucking fun. But we've gotten a lot of encouragement from, you know, people online, but also people in our, you know, friendship groups. And we kind of want to make something cool. Like, we want to make something that I think both of us are proud of. And why not do that with this? Like, it's fun. We're enjoying it. Yeah. We love every aspect of making this show. I mean, I love doing the editing for the show. You know, I don't think it's intensive, but I like doing it. I like doing all that stuff. You want to do the social media stuff. I think we are starting to find a really cool rhythm.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with that.
Well, to not get too sappy on everyone, it's been super great to do all this. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoy any future stuff that we put out. And I appreciate you all that take the time to make us part of your day.
Hell yeah. I think that is a great outro. So this has been Comics with Friends, the bi-weekly podcast where two best buds get together and read comics that they like. Maybe talk about some stuff they didn't like about the comics, and just
try and be funny.
Just try to be funny and just enjoy each other's company. Yeah. So, and we enjoyed your company. So yeah, give us a little subscribes, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.